Good evening. I have the honor of reconvening the December 10th, 2025 Board of Education meeting for the Mount Diablo Unified School District. I would like to announce for the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953B concerning teleconferencing of meetings. Trustee Nzewi is participating in this meeting by speakerphone from 2300 Dulles Corner Boulevard, Herndon, Virginia, 20171. In accordance with the Brown Act, this location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. I will ask Trustee Nzewi to respond to the following questions. Are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Has the agenda been posted at your location?
Yes.
Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in the public portions of this teleconference meeting from your locations?
Yes.
Members of the Board of Education, are you able to hear Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Yes. Everyone says affirmative. Thank you. Since we are having a meeting with teleconferencing, all actions will be by roll call vote. So thank you for your patience in advance. We will begin with the land acknowledgement, item 6.1. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lasan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay, Miwok, and Northern Yokot, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and the broader Bay Area communities today. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item 6.3 is the review and potential approval of minutes for the regular board meeting held November 12th, 2025.
Madam President, I move that the board approve item 6.3, the approval of the minutes for the November 12th board meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Trustee Lawrence with a second by Trustee McDougall regarding the approval of the minutes for November 12th. Further discussion? Trustee Barrera-Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Lawrence, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
Trustee Mason?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
And Trustee Mayo votes yes as well. Now those of us in the room will record our votes on the agenda. On ESB, I should say. And the motion is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Item 6.4 is the approval of minutes for the District Education Facilities Financing Corporation meeting held on November 12th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the Mount Diablo Unified School District Education Facilities Financing Corporation meeting held November 12th, 2025.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Trustee Mason with a second by Trustee Barrera-Oriana. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Trustee Barrera-Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
and trustee Mayo votes yes. And the motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting is adopted on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Thank you. The next item is review and potential approval of the agenda. Dr. Clark, do we have any changes for the agenda?
No changes, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee McDougal. Correct? Oh, it was you? I apologize. No, it's my deaf ear. Motion by trustee Mason with a second by trustee Lawrence on the approval of the agenda as printed. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Mason,
Yes.
trustee Lauren, Nzewi,
yes,
and trustee Mayo votes yes also. And the approval of the agenda is approved on a 5-0-0-0 vote. Thank you very much. Okay. So now we are on the report out of action taken in closed session, which is item 7.0. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to approve the resignation of 2 employees per separation agreement. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to immediately suspend without pay employee ID number 31528 and issue charges for dismissal. Under anticipated litigation, in the matter of one case of anticipated litigation, the board by a vote of 5-0 gave direction to general counsel. In the matter of one case of anticipated litigation, the board by vote 5-0 gave direction to outside legal counsel. For a liability claim, the board met in closed session by a vote to 5-0, voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by Brandon Lawson against Mount Diablo Unified School District. And on the final matter, in one matter, the board voted by a vote of 5-0 and decided not to hear an appeal of complaint against a district employee pursuant to Board Policy Administrative Regulation 1312.1. And now we have the matter of 7.2, which is the stipulated expulsion agreement for student 08-26. Trustee Mason?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the stipulated expulsion agreement for student 0826 prior to readmission. Per the agreement, student 0826 is required to meet the following conditions. Students must not enter the grounds of any district school at any time for any purpose. Student will not attend any school-sponsored activities, whether on or off campus. Student will complete his coursework through attendance at Golden Gate Day School per the agreement. Student will complete 15 hours of counseling. Student will demonstrate a successful school experience, which includes no violation of school rules and education codes 48900, 48915, or district rules and regulations. Satisfactory academic performance, which is to earn minimum of 40 credits. Satisfactory attendance, 80% attendance, and no excessive tardies. Student must not commit any expellable offenses as defined under the code.
Well done and second.
We have a motion by trustee Mason and with a second by trustee Lawrence regarding the stipulated expulsion agreement for student 08-26. Is there further discussion? Right. Trustee Lawrence, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi, how do you vote?
yes,
And trustee Mayo votes yes as well. And the motion is adopted on a 5-0-0 vote regarding the approval of the stipulated expulsion agreement for student 08-26. Now we're moving ready for the exciting part of the meeting. 8.0 organizational meeting items. 8.1. Dr. Clark, do you want to, or would you prefer I read it?
Go right ahead, Madam President.
Thank you. Annual Board of Education organizational meeting, Education Code Sections 35143 and 72125 require that the governing board of each school district hold an annual organizational meeting. In a year in which regular election for governing board members is held, the meeting shall be held on a day within a 15-day period that commences with the date upon which an elected governing board member takes office. Organizational meetings in years which no such regular election for governing board members is conducted shall be held during the same 15-day period on the calendar. Current Board Policy 9100 calls for the election of a board president and vice president at the annual organizational meeting of the board. Okay. So 8.2, election of the board president. I will open nominations for the board president.
Madam President.
Thank you, trustee Nzewi. Trustee Lawrence?
Second, and then may I ask a point of clarification? Would be, our procedure would be to take the first nominee and vote yes or no, or will we have multiple nominations?
In the past, we've had multiple nominations. Would you prefer to do it differently?
Happy to go either way. Just wanted to understand the procedure.
Thank you. Are there further nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Would you please? Oh, I have to do a roll call vote. Okay. We will start with trustee McDougal. How do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi, how do you vote?
yes,
Trustee Mayo, how do you vote? Yes. Trustee Mason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee
I was looking at him.
Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have to wait for ESB.
I'm showing election of
Hmm?
vice president.
Yeah, we have to.
No, I'm just. Yeah, that's what it shows. I'm not able to vote.
They'll move it back. Okay, they'll fix it in a minute.
Okay.
Patience is a virtue. Is it snowing in Virginia, trustee Nzewi?
it is not. I've gotten warnings of snow, but it hasn't snowed,
Okay.
thankfully, but it is very cold.
Colder here.
In this room.
Is everything decorated for the holidays? Okay. They have to back up one. Thank you for your patience. We're waiting for ESB to catch up with us.
We're right past it.
We're trying to catch up to it.
I see the circle of death spinning on the screen. Okay. So we've already voted. So congratulations, Mrs. Mason. You are now the president for 2026. Let me pass the gavel and
We still have to wait till we go on to the next item.
Yeah, I think we'll continue.
Okay. Okay, so the next item would be to elect a board vice president. So nominations are open.
Madam President, I nominate trustee Idzewi.
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations? Trustee Nzewi, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. No other nominations. I think we'll go ahead and vote. So we'll go with our student first this time. So trustee Barrera Oriana,
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
and trustee Mason votes yes as well.
Vice President.
So it's not going to come up.
Moving right along.
Do I get to appoint the board secretary?
Yeah, you can appoint a secretary.
Dr. Clark, would you be our board secretary?
Accept the appointment.
Okay, we're rolling along here. Okay. Review and potential adopt.
Do we need
Oh, we
to?
get to vote on this
Yep.
one? Okay. It went out, no, come back. Out to, yeah,
Yeah, it's all up.
we're waiting for a reset. Oh, there it comes. We have to sign in again? Yes.
It's not happy. There it is. Progress.
Did yours log in? Mine didn't.
I'm, no.
Well, I'm.
Yeah, so we'll just keep going.
Okay. 8.5, review and potential adoption of certificate. Oh, we didn't vote on the oh, we got to vote on you. I can't just appoint. What's the fun of being the chair if I can't appoint? Okay. Trustee Barrera Ariana,
Yes.
trustee
Lawrence? Yes.
Lawrence. Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Zawi,
Yes,
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
I think, Madam President, I think you made the motion and I would have happily seconded that we just did. Did you need a motion and a second?
The appointment, okay.
Yep.
Want to go back and do it again?
Nope,
since
I'm
we
just-
have the time anyway.
I'm just saying that you,
Okay.
I seconded your motion.
You'd seconded. Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, are we back online or just keep going?
That's it.
Okay. Review and a potential adoption of certificate of signatures for the 2026 calendar year. I'll entertain a motion. Madam President.
Madam President, I move that we approve the certificate of signatures for 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee McDougal. How do you vote?
Oh, yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Barrera Ariana,
Yes.
and trustee Nzewi,
yes,
and trustee Mason votes yes as well. Okay, 8.6, review. That was adopted on a 5-0 vote with the consent from our student board member. Okay. Review and potential approval of resolution 25-26-37 to establish regular board meeting dates for the 2026 calendar year.
Thank you so much, President Mason. Whereas the establishment of meeting dates to maximize public opportunity for participation should properly consider potential calendar conflicts of recognized religious observances within the community, with particular attention to those observances which include work restrictions. And whereas herein, those proper considerations have been given in consultation with the National Chabad.org and the Jewish Community Relations Council, and therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education establishes its regular meetings for the 2026 calendar year as such. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board. Dates are posted.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board accept the resolution as presented.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the calendar as presented. Trustee Barrera Ariana,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi,
yes,
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
trustee Mason votes yes as well. That passes on a 5-0 vote with consent from our student rep. Okay, public comment. The public may address the board regarding any item not on the agenda. Public comment will also be allowed on each specific agenda item prior to the board's action thereon. In accordance with the Brown Act, the board may not take action or engage in dialogue or items that are not on the proposed or posted agenda. Having said that, do we have any public comment?
Madam President, while we wait, I believe that I'm at least now able to join the board meeting.
online if at any point we want to resume voting.
If you sign
Oh.
on to the ESB, you'll be
Okay.
able to vote on.
Oh, we're back in,
8.6.
huh? Okay. Out.
By joining the meeting or signing into the ESP?
I think I have to sign in again.
If you're not in ESB, you'll have to sign on.
Welcoming me.
And then click on the meeting date
Log in
and join
and
meeting.
join my
There we
meeting.
go. Hey.
Okay. Are we caught up now? Or are we gonna have to go through each of them one by one? We're caught up. Okay. Now we're on public comment. So, first speaker. Jan Schuber, I can't even, go ahead. I can't even attempt the second now. I can't wait to hear you pronounce it.
Good evening.
There should be a little button there and a green light come on so we can hear you. They're gonna have assistance for you. No problem.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Gayane Chubarian. I'm a student of intermediate Law 1, Law 2. Our teacher is Matthew Plitzner. I want to give my opinion about the school and how important it is to me personally and to all of us. I've been in the US for 17 years and haven't had the opportunity to learn the language for various reasons. I work with Russian-speaking people, and now I'm retired and can go to the school I dreamed of for those years. The school has excellent professional teachers who deliver the material in an easy-to-understand way. After going through the first term of the school in the spring, I began to speak English and was less shy. I felt more confident. And it's getting better this term. I've learned a lot in these 3 months. Our teacher is a very positive and an open person. He is very kind and attentive to the students. We often talk about our families and everyday life, which improves our communication skills. Our classmates are friendly because of our teacher. Now we are having reading practice. It helps us to compose sentences. The school gives me energy and joy. My goal is to attend school until I begin to speak English more fluently. I really hope that this opportunity continues to be given to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you deserve an A+.
Really?
Next speaker, Deborah Hickey.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and superintendent. I'm here to request that you reinstate the Aries rights that our community service coordinator, Carla Solari, has previously held. Carla has been a dedicated member of Mount Diablo High School for 11 years, and her rights were unjustly revoked this year. Since the beginning of the school year, Carla has spoken with Wendy Aguili and others, but she was informed that she had too many rights. This is not accurate. And I kindly request that you visit Carla to assess her actual limitations instead of simply saying what she possesses. Carla's restricted access to Aries is hindering her ability to effectively assist our parents and causing her significant frustration. She is compelled to seek information from other office staff who possess the necessary data, which makes her feel like she's intruding upon their work. I understand that Carla's primary concern is prioritizing our family's needs, and I hope that you can emphasize with her as well. Please restore her rights to access attendance, discipline, medical, and all associated notes. These are the things that our Hispanic parents frequently contact Carla for and request. Once again, please restate Carla's access. Thank you.
Eli Rudolph?
Hi. Good afternoon, members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District School Board, Superintendent Dr. Clark, and community members. My name is Eli Rudolph, and I am a student at College Now from College Park High School. I am here with my peers, Abarami and Zhenhui, to introduce an important policy that I believe will help position our district as a leader in environmental sustainability and climate action while benefiting our students, schools, and broader community. The proposed policy aims to promote environmental education. This initiative aligns with California's broader commitment to to environmental stewardship and climate mitigation as outlined in Policy 5030 Student Wellness. By adopting this policy, our district can incorporate sustainability principles into their curriculum, fostering environmental literacy through hands-on science curriculum in the school garden. Gardens lower costs for hands-on science supplies. Instead of buying one-time use materials for lessons, the garden provides ongoing reusable resources for instruction. This resolution demonstrates our commitment to the health of our community and the planet, setting an example for other districts across the state. This policy aligns with Goal 3 of the LCAP goal and addresses the urgent need for action on climate change. As a student, I have seen firsthand how students express disdain for undeveloped grassland as middle of nowhere while on field trips, which shows their disconnect from the land that sustains us. Implementing this policy will empower them to take meaningful action and develop skills that will serve them throughout their lives. Initiatives like this can enhance the district's reputation and attract families who value a forward-thinking education system. I urge the board to adopt a policy action that makes sustainability a priority in our district. This step will not only benefit our students, but also contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future for our entire community. High school students across the state are calling on their districts to take a relevant climate action, and we want our district to be a part of this growing movement for a sustainable and climate resilient future. Thank you all for considering this important policy action and for your leadership in advancing opportunities that support our students and community. I am happy to answer any questions or provide additional details as needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Abrahami. Close.
So good afternoon, everybody, and members of the MDUSD Unified School Board District, Superintendent Mr. Clark, and community members. My name is Abarami Narayanan, and I'm from a student at Northgate. I'm here with my peers, Eli and Zhenhui, and wanted to bring up an important policy that I believe will help position our district as a leader in environmental sustainability and climate action, while benefiting our students, schools, and broader community. The proposed policy aims to educate students on the food system to teach healthy food habits. So this initiative aligns with our district's mission of supporting students' wellness through health education, physical education, and other activities, health services, nutrition services, as outlined in Policy 5030, which is student wellness. And so the ways that we plan to support the resolution is by have impact on the student education. And so we're going to adopt this policy, and so that our district can incorporate sustainability principles into the curriculum, which can foster environmental literacy among students through hands-on science curriculums in the school garden at Northgate and other schools. A well-maintained garden reduces the need for higher landscape services. So these are the financial benefits we have. And instead of just paying for mowing or decorative plants, the garden obviously has become a low-cost educational green space that students can help care for through various activities. So the environmental and community benefits are that this resolution demonstrates our commitment to the health of our community and to the planet, setting an example for other districts across the states to look upon us. Connection to the district and obviously the broader goals is that the policy aligns with the Goal 3 of LCAP goal and addresses the urgent need for action on climate change. As a student, I've seen firsthand how students rely on easily accessible packaged food when they are obviously hungry instead of valuing having a nutritious breakfast, which affects them throughout the day in their academic and athletic performance and other activities they do throughout the day. Personally, my story is like I'm a vegetarian, and so I basically no meat, right? No gelatin, no eggs. And so I'm confident that I'm giving my body the right nutrition that I need. And so because my mom, like family, and we all always cook home food, we don't purchase like too many like packaged items, which ensures again that I'm providing my body with the right food that it needs. Implementing this policy will empower them to take meaningful action and develop skills that will serve them throughout their lives. Furthermore, initiatives like this can obviously enhance the district's reputation and attract families who value a forward-thinking education system.
Okay. And just to reiterate for our students, we're not allowed to comment or ask questions during public comment, but we are hearing everything you're saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Then
Good afternoon, members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District School Board, Superintendent Dr. Clark, and community members. My name is Jen Hui Huang, and I am a student at College Now from Northgate High School. I am part of the California Youth Climate Policy Leadership Program, which supports students across California who are advocating for environmental and climate action in their school community. I'm here with Eli and Abarami to introduce an important policy that I believe will help position our district as a leader in environmental sustainability and climate action while benefiting our students, schools, and broader community. The proposed policy aims to reduce stress, create hands-on, cross-curricular learning opportunities that build confidence and a connection to nature. This initiative aligns with our district's mission of supporting psychological and counseling services, and a safe and healthy school environment is outlined in Policy 5030, Student Wellness. Impact on student education. By adopting this policy, our district can incorporate sustainability principles into the curriculum, fostering environmental literacy among students through integrating all school subjects to have a hands-on component in the garden. School gardens often attract community donations, grants, and volunteer support. This helps the school receive free materials, tools, compost, and even small infrastructure upgrades that don't come out of the district budget. This resolution demonstrates our commitment to the health of the community and the planet, setting an example for other districts across the state. This policy aligns with Goal 3 of the LCAP goal and addresses the urgent need for climate action. As a student, I have seen firsthand how the sedentary lecture-style classroom environment is placing a toll on students' mental health. Implementing this policy will teach students to have a healthy outlet for stress management through outdoor education on campus through incorporating curriculum in the school garden. Furthermore, initiatives like this can enhance the district's reputation and attract families who value a forward-thinking education system that makes school fun. I urge the board to adopt a policy action that makes sustainability a priority in our district. This step will not only benefit our students, but also contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future for our entire community. There are high school students across the state that are calling on their districts to take relevant climate action, and we want our district to be a part of this growing movement for a sustainable and climate resilient future. Thank you for considering this important policy action and for your leadership in advancing opportunities that support our students and community. I am happy to answer any questions or provide any additional details as needed. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Terry or Terrell?
Terry, right? Felizzo? Okay, just make sure there's not a. Good evening, school board members, Dr. Clark, and community members. My name is Terry Felizzo. I am a part-time ESL instructor at Loma Vista. I've been with the school for almost 6 years now. We first introduced ourselves back in April, and I'm here again to talk about the hidden gem, which is adult education. We are trying to highlight what we are doing at our school to demonstrate all the positive impact that we have on our community. There are several students here and a few teachers this evening. Not everybody could attend, but we wanted to take this opportunity to present. One of the important factors that I'd like to bring out, which is we have now over 300 parents with children in the district in our school that we are teaching. We wish to strengthen these ties going forward and to ensure the success of both. Another essential component of our programs is the increasing integration of our ESL students, continuing on to our Introduction to Health Careers and Early Childhood Education classes, which then leads to enrollment in any of our CTEC programs. In fact, 4 of my current ESL students are taking these additional classes. We look forward to the support of our new administration in helping us provide the necessary teachers and classes coming up in the new year. I have some important data to share with you, and I'd like to hand those out. And then
Okay. Thank you. Next is Colleen Thurbaugh.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Thornburg, and I'm a full-time ESL instructor at the Loma Vista Adult Education Center. I have been working there for full-time for the past 8 years. The instructors are excellent educators to work with, and the students are amazing. My colleagues and I have witnessed students advance to Loma Vista's high school EMT, CTEC, and CNA programs. Many have gone to DVC and have started their own businesses. They are now active members in our communities and giving back. Even some have come back to work at our school. You may hear from them soon. The success stories are never ending. This past summer, I had struggled with whether to continue working here or not because of lack of raises and non-competitive wages due to our economy. I decided to stay out of loyalty to my wonderful students, and I have seniority in my full-time status. I was able to add a part-time job at Loma Vista, working on Fridays from 9 to 2 p.m. This new position adds to my full-time position, which is 4 days and 4-day work schedule. 3 days of the week are 9 a.m. to 11:45 a.m., from 12:30 to 2:45 p.m., and then back at school again from 6:30 to 9:15 p.m. Personally, this is a crazy and very challenging schedule. How can I and other full-time teachers continue to be effective teachers with such grueling schedules and non-competitive wages in today's economy? My colleagues and I look forward to you actively supporting and acknowledging us as valued teachers in the ESL program. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next is Elise Stecky.
Okay. Members of the board, Dr. Clark. My name is Elsa Steckel. I'm a former teacher at Loma Vista teaching ESL. I was there for 10 years. I am currently teaching for another district, but I'm here today to support my former colleagues, and I will read a letter from one of our teachers who could not be here. I'm an adult education educator at Mount Diablo and have been serving the Mount Diablo community for over 24 years with utmost dedication and commitment in the ESL department. In my last 24 years, I had the privilege of serving families and individuals in my many roles, from being an ESL instructor for all levels of English learners to creating curriculum for parents with homework help while learning conversational English. Also, for the last 13 years, I've taught career pathway classes. to help adult learners interested in becoming preschool teachers to transfer to DVC to peruse the associate teacher certificate and beyond. I'd like to share some successes of former students to show the profound impact of adult ed on members of our community. Some of the successes may seem really small to you, but they were incredibly important in the lives of these students. The students not only become productive citizens of the community, but help shape our future generations while working in preschools and the new TK programs in our communities. An Afghan mother of 4 girls wrote thanking me because she was now successfully helping her girls with their homework and could confidently attend parent-teacher conferences. To add to her success, she was hired as an aide in the elementary school, and it was all due to my ESL class. An El Salvadorian young man came to visit me to express his gratitude for all the patience and hard work helping him learn basic English grammar. He used to work for very little money during the daytime as a painter when he joined ESL class. Now he owns his own company and has 5 employees. More than 36 students from the Career Pathway class are working in the Mount Diablo community as preschool teachers, and they visited me to share how their dream of becoming preschool teachers in the U.S. has become a reality after they joined our adult education ESL early childhood education class at Loma Vista and transferred to DVC to earn their associate teacher certificate and continue to earn their AA and BA degrees in the field with site supervisor permits. These are just a few examples of some of the ways adult educators impact our students, their families, and the larger Mount Diablo community. Thank you for your continued support of the important work done by Mount Diablo adult ed instructors.
Thank you. Masad Bina. Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Masood Bina, and I'm an ESL student at Loma Vista Adult Educational Center. Security challenges forced my family and me to flee thousands of miles from our homeland. Coming from a very traditional and undeveloped country, I suddenly found myself in a progressive and prosperous first world nation, a place where the language, cultural, religion, and many other aspects of life were completely new to me. Our greatest concern after arriving was learning English so that we could begin our new life successfully. Fortunately, we were introduced to Loma Vista Adult School and immediately started our language studies. My spouse and me and I, along with thousands of other students at this center, express our sincere gratitude to its founders, administrative staff, and teachers. Without learning the language and understanding the way of life in America, continuing forward as immigrants would have been nearly impossible. This school and other adult education centers offers far more than language classes. After completing several semesters, students can receive vocational training and even support with job placement. I can honestly say that what I have learned at this school goes far beyond English. Much like high school students, I gained valuable knowledge about American history and civilization. In October of this year, I participated in the Career Exposition in Martinez. I was fortunate to enroll in the optation program, a field in which I previously worked in my home country. I will begin my coursework in February 2026 and look forward to returning to my profession. I am also the father of 3 children who attended schools in the Monte Diablo School District. In closing, I offer my deepest gratitude to the people and government of United States for their sincere support of immigrants. Thank you for your time and attention.
Avoid, is that closed? There he is. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Naveed Zubaydi, and I am originally from Afghanistan. I come from a strong background in technology, education, and community service. For more than 14 years, I worked in the telecom and information systems field. And I also had the privilege of teaching at Kabul University, where I instructed the students in programming, database systems, and computer fundamentals. Earlier in my career, I worked with the USAID OLPC project, One Laptop Per Child, where I helped deploy thousands of computers and set up digital classrooms across Afghan schools, expanding access to the technology for students and educators in multiple provinces. I immigrated to the United States at the end of last year, and soon after, I joined Loma Vista Adult Center. With the guidance and support of my wonderful instructor, Ms. Terry, I completed the full course and greatly improved my understanding of American English, especially the accent and communication style. Shortly after completing the program, I was offered an opportunity to join a school as a senior instructional assistant, and I started my position on November 3rd. And I am very happy and proud now to be part of this community where I can support the students who face challenges with English, just like I did when I first arrived. It means a lot to me to help others build confidence and succeed in their new journey. And thank you.
Norma Vasquez?
Hi, good evening. My name is Norma Vasquez. The purpose of this letter is to thank Loma Vista Adult Center and all the teachers for their patience and willingness to teach and help us with the English language. Personally, I need it very much. My grandchildren don't speak my TV language, Spanish, and it is very difficult for me to communicate with them. Furthermore, it's essential because it's the language of this country. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be given and placed in the classroom. And although I find it very difficult to speak and express myself in English, I will do my best to continue preparing in class. I would like to thank my teacher, Matthew, for all those patience with all of us, his students. It's not easy to teach several people with different language and culture. I greatly appreciate his dedication and support. Sincerely, with gratitude and respect. Norma Vasquez. Thank you.
Nami? Nami?
Good evening. My name is Tsindayosh Patersokt. I am from Mongolia and I am student of Loma Vista Adult School. and today I read about why learning English is important to me. I want to connect with other people and socialize using English. I love teaching children about what I know. That's why I was working in Mongolia as a preschool teacher. I love seeing children learn from me. It inspires me. It has been 3 months since I started ESL class. I am getting better at learning English because of my teacher and classmates. Because of them, I want to learn more and get even better. My final goal is to become more fluent in English so I can continue my job as a teacher in the United States and Mongolia. Thank you.
Alicia? Or Alicia Galliston? No? Laura Powell?
Privacy and rights. I was invited because of my statewide advocacy work, but as I was preparing my remarks, I realized that I had numerous examples of practices that violate the spirit and in some cases the letter of the law. One issue I addressed is the constant surveying of children's emotional states. A lot of this is done through social emotional learning or SEL. And despite this district struggling to fulfill its core mission of academic instruction, it devotes an inordinate amount of time to SEL. Teachers who are not trained therapists ask children to share their feelings on a near daily basis. And this may sound harmless, but constant self-reflection is not the key to good mental health. And sometimes these sessions probe further and turn classrooms basically into group therapy sessions. Another issue I raised in Congress was curriculum access. When I request to review materials related to sensitive topics like sex ed or SEL, district staff drag their feet and create unnecessary barriers. After months of back and forth, I've obtained only a handful of documents related to SEL. The district's general counsel claims that all materials are exempt from the Public Records Act. This stonewalling has done a lot to erode my trust in my children's schools. Parents' right to opt their children out of any instruction that conflicts with their religious beliefs was reaffirmed by the Supreme Court this year. But this district asserts that parents must identify the specific content that they find objectionable. And this is an unreasonable burden given that schools do not readily provide full access to instructional materials. If schools focused on academic instruction, conflicts with families' beliefs would be far less common. Instead, educators increasingly behave as if guiding children's emotional and moral development were their role, but it's always been the domain of families. I hope that the district will start living up to its rhetoric about seeing parents as partners, because in my experience, parents who ask questions or assert their rights are treated as intruders. Thank you.
Thank you. And last speaker is it Monica Olson? Okay.
And since it started, okay, excuse me, thank you too. I just wanted to share with you, I think you may be receiving some letters of support for the garden, and I have petitions from students that some of them have already been sent to you, but I just received some more that I'll also share with you as well. They would like to see the garden continue, and we are being informed that that is not going to be possible, but it's a little unclear about why, and I know I've reached out to our board president, Linda Mayo, to see if we could possibly talk about this and just see how we can work this out. So part of my understanding is that there are some new requirements. There's a new administration in place and trying to get everybody up to speed so that we're going to need a new agreement. We have been a volunteer project since 2007. And we've also included then all of the additional requests and proposals for additions and restoration and so on of the garden. The garden itself, as the petition says, which I have, I think, right here in front of me, says that, and these are from students at our area district schools, but also we do reach out to the community. And so there are sometimes students, parents, and community members, businesses, and others that also are part of what happens at the garden. So we, the undersigned, support the vision and mission of the Pleasant Hill Instructional Garden, wish to see it continue its programs, events, classes, and community education. And our mission is to educate the school and the community on air, soil, and water conservation techniques, best research-based, restorative, healthy, and sustainable gardening practices, and to promote wildlife habitat stewardship by developing a California natural living demonstration garden. We already are seeing that we have become a community resource, that community organizations do come to us and not only want to participate in events and classes and so on, but we also see that students come to us because they've heard about the garden from some of the other organizations, and they're coming, whether they're coming to be doing community service, whether they're coming to do an actual class, part of their curriculum with, another class. So we have classes that do come out to the garden as well. And then, of course, we have some that come out and do special projects. Some of them are doing internships as well. Thank you very much.
That concludes our public comment. Next on the agenda is communications, district organizations at regular board meetings. A single spokesperson of each recognized district organization may make a brief presentation. Items are limited to those which are informational. Do we have one tonight? Oh, okay. Okay, Linda Ortiz.
On. Good evening, President Mason, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. I want to congratulate the newly elected school board president and vice president. I am looking forward to working with you in your new positions. So, and I also want to thank the students who spoke earlier. I always am warm to hear our students speak. I want to thank our adult educators for showing up and sharing their stories, as well as those students. I love the fact that our district is providing services for our different cultures, and they're learning English. When I was a teacher, I enjoyed learning about their cultures as well. I also want to give out a shout out to my friends and colleagues at the United Teachers of Richmond. As we were all listening and watching, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who came out to support them. In honor of their settlement, I decided to wear red tonight, and it's festive. I would also like to report that today I received several adverse working conditions forms due to the heating issues. As the days get colder, I would like to remind everyone that our students' learning conditions are affected when it is too cold or too hot in our classroom. And yes, Dr. Clark, it's been very cold in our neighborhood. So please be prepared for these changing weather conditions so that learning is not lost. I also want to give a shout out to the payroll department for the work on updating the salary increases on the November pay period. As someone who has worked in finances, I can appreciate the time and effort that was put into preparing the new changes. Moving forward, I want to remind the school board and members in the audience that I am here to work collaboratively with site administrators and district managers to resolve issues before they are accelerated to a grievance. Working together to find a resolution is more helpful than pointing fingers or placing blame. My goal as the Medea president is to continue to work collaboratively with the district management on how to solve problems before they directly impact our students and our educators. Finally, in the spirit of the holiday season, I want to share my gratitude for all of those who I have worked directly with to resolve issues on behalf of my members. From the benefits department, human resources, payroll, special ed, and others, thank you for taking my calls and for those of my members. I hear from my members that they don't have the time to call because they're teaching, but they would reach out to me. And I appreciate when I call the district, different departments, that someone returns my call or my email. So I do appreciate good customer service. And to everybody else, I wish everyone a happy winter break. Thank you. Can you hear us now? I'm sorry, can you go ahead and repeat that, Trustee Nzewe?
Yes.
All righty. Recognitions and resolutions. Recognition of College Park High School graduate Matthias Joseph for selection of the Association of California School Administrators Region 6 2025 Every Student Succeeding Awards.
Yes, President Mason, just very excited for this next quick item. You know, most of our administrators belong to AXA, which is the California Administrators Association. And a couple weeks ago, many of us were in San Francisco. We were in a great big ballroom with about 1,000 people there, and they showed a video of this young man, talked about his story and how individuals within the Mount Diablo Unified School District supported him through his journey in getting through our schools with all these other things that he had going on. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Filios, what's your first name? Christina, okay. Christina Filios, and also Demetria Hofford, beautiful. And yes, Jenny Vargas, and our young student.
Thank
Right,
you.
so take it away.
Good evening, President Mason, Vice President Nzewe, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Clark. It is my great pleasure to present the best part of the board agenda tonight, which is our recognition of Matisse Joseph, a recent College Park High School graduate, class of 2025, as the Region 6 Every Student Succeeding honoree. And tonight, I'm representing Region 6 for this board agenda item, and Jenny Vargas is representing Diablo Managers Association. So just a little bit about this award. The purpose of the award is to honor students who have succeeded against all odds, and Matisse is just such a wonderful wonderful recipient of this award, exhibiting incredible resilience and succeeding not only in high school, but also beyond. He's a current Los Medanos college student and plays on their basketball team. And we're very proud. This award is unique in that it also recognizes the team of educators who support the student in their success. And so I'm very honored to also have the Mitra Hefford with us, SOAR case manager, who recognized Matisse with this nomination. So this is the quote that was shared from Matisse at the AXA State Summit recognition. And then we are going to watch a very short video that AXA produced that shares his story before we present the award to him.
I met Matisse 3 years ago. The first day of school, the counselor called me up. He goes, "Hey, Saul, we have this guy from France who just walked in the door. He's interested in playing basketball."
I'm from a little part of France that's called French Guiana, and it's in South America, so it's next to Brazil. And then when I got in high school, that's when I moved to America.
There was a nice gift in my lap of a 6'5" big guy who can get me rebounds, and he's a good teammate and wants to play basketball.
We had to move from houses to houses, cities to cities around here. So yeah, so they definitely feels weird.
I think basketball was a place where he can go to get away from any problems or stresses he may have had.
Emotionally, it was more, being us three, because he was my brother and my mom, us three, staying solid and staying together.
Anytime you get a kid who has to experience things that really no kid should experience, and that's about of homelessness, financial insecurity, that's tough on anyone, especially a kid. Just seeing what he went through, I felt for him, but I also saw how tough he was trying to be and try to get through all this. So that was very admirable.
I was always kind of quiet, and I wouldn't talk about, my problems or anything like that. But, it's my mom that told me, hey, go tell that to your counselor, go tell that to your coach. Maybe they can help. So that kind of saved us, because if I didn't do that, then I don't think I would be here right now.
He's one of those guys that he goes out there, he busts his butt, he does what he's supposed to on the court.
I would say out of everyone on the team, I coach him probably the hardest. I have high expectations of him. I think holding him to a high standard and giving him high expectations, he was able to, raise his game. And he was voted by his peers, his teammates, to be one of the captains this year.
Oh, he's a shining light. He came over here. He's transferred through some situations and is able to come through on the other side. And I think that's a story not only for sports wise, but for a story this will be able to be shared with a lot of students.
As part of the recognition for this award, oh, am I not saying it? Okay, I'm just saying that. So here you are. Auntie. Congratulations. Good. I'm proud of you.
Hi everyone, I'm Matisse. I just want to thank everyone, the SOAR team, the school district, Jenna next to me, Christina that did this beautiful project on what I went through with my family, and everyone that helped me, and obviously the Mitra, she helped me since the beginning. Since the first time I got into her office, I knew I could trust her and that she would help me through everything. And yeah, That's it.
Yeah, makes him look short.
Okay, 11.2, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-38 in recognition of January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Month. Dr. Clark.
In recognition of January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, whereas in 2010, President Barack Obama issued a presidential proclamation designating each January to be National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Whereas slavery has not ceased to exist, but instead has been rebranded and is growing at an alarming rate with victims forced into modern slavery and subjected to commercial sexual exploitation, forced labor, involuntary domestic servitude, forced marriage, and debt bondage. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I will just say, now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District does hereby proclaim January 2025 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month and urges all residents to participate in the efforts to raise awareness of and end all forms of human trafficking in our communities and encourages schools and law enforcement to continue partnerships that support Contra Costa County's youth impacted by human trafficking. And I just want to say, over the last couple of years, the administration of the Mount Diablo Unified School District has visited classrooms, almost all the classrooms in the district, to educate our students on the dangers and signs and ways to prevent human trafficking. So with that, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move the board approve resolution 25/26-38 in recognition of National Slavery and Human Trafficking Month.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
And Trustee Mason votes yes as well, with the motion by Lawrence and second by McDougall. Mayo. Okay,
Madam President, may
Yes,
I
sir.
speak to it briefly?
absolutely.
So I had the opportunity this weekend. I spent time with a member of the district attorney's office down in Southern California, and she handles these type of cases, and they are horrific, and they are actually growing. That more and more, especially teenage girls, are being targeted. And it is just something for, and so I'm so appreciative of the efforts of MDUSD to raise awareness and to help with prevention of this. So thank you.
Okay. 11.3, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-39 recognizing January 23rd, 2026 as Ed Roberts Day. Dr. Clark.
Yes, another very important resolution. So whereas Edward Vern Roberts was born on January 23rd, 1939, as an adolescent in 1953, he acquired polio and spent extensive periods of time in an iron lung. And whereas Roberts' career as an advocate began when a high school administrator threatened to deny him a diploma because he had not completed driver's education and physical education. Whereas in 1963, Roberts was admitted to the University of California, Berkeley, where he became the first student with a severe physical disability to attend UC Berkeley. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified Board of Education supports the designation of Ed Roberts Day and acknowledges the accomplishments of Ed Roberts in helping reduce barriers increase access, and improve the lives of all persons with disabilities. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion or discussion.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 2526-39 recognizing Ed Roberts Day.
I'll second. I'll second.
You have a second? Okay. So, Trustee Barrera Oriana,
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi,
Yes.
and Trustee Mason votes yes as well. So that passes 5-0 with approval from our student rep. Okay. 11.6, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-31, January as attendance intervention month. Dr. Clark.
Yes, our students can't learn if they are not in school. So resolution 25/26-41, whereas in September, the Mount Diablo Unified School District launched its district-wide Here Today, Ready for Tomorrow Attendance Awareness Month campaign, recognizing the importance of consistent attendance for student learning, engagement, and overall success. And whereas January provides an opportunity for renewal, a chance to build on the momentum from September, re-engage students and families, and reinforce strong attendance habits for the remainder of the school year. So, Madam President, I now leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
I motion to approve resolution 25/26-41 January as attendance intervention month.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Barrera Oriana,
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi,
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
and Trustee Mason votes yes as well. Passes 5-0. Okay, reports and information, 12.1. Is it IDEA or IDEA? 50th anniversary.
Yeah. Just, I just need to take a moment and just recognize the work of so many people who make our students who learn differently and who have IEPs part of the regular student body. I've said this before in this body is that unfortunately in public education, students with disabilities are often thought of less than, lower expectations, and are looked at sometimes as a burden in the classroom. I do not feel that way. Any student that learns differently has every right within our schools and within our classrooms to get the best possible education that we can provide. And so as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of IDEA, I couldn't be more proud of our special education department. So with that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Wendy Aguili and guests. Is that Amy Cedrilla? No, not Amy? No? Okay, no, okay. You can have the presentation. Or I don't know.
I know Dorothy turned in a speaker card, but I'm assuming you're going to be part of the presentation, aren't you?
I didn't put my card in time for communication. Sorry, and I was in the back. So first, I want to say, if you let me, I want to say thank you to everybody from last night for the event that we held for our special education community at Mount Diablo Unified School District. Everybody came together. Our new CAC board knocked it out the park, and I just want to say thank you to Nikki, Jacqueline, Veronica, Lisa for helping, and for Wendy and her team for doing an amazing job. I would say this was probably one of our best events and without a lot of hitches. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that was a part of it, including Linda and Deborah. Thank you for your volunteering and your time last night. Thank you. Okay, so yay, we're celebrating IDEA. So I wanted to just say something as the co-chair of the Community Advisory Committee for the district. I just want to say that I am honored that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. IDEA is a significant milestone that celebrates 5 decades of progress in ensuring that children with disabilities receive free and appropriate education. Enacted in 1975, IDEA has transformed the educational landscape by mandating services and support tailored to the unique needs of students with disabilities. This anniversary not only highlights the achievements in the inclusivity and accessibility within the schools, but also serves as a reminder of the ongoing challenges and the importance of advocacy. As we reflect on 50 years of IDA, it is crucial to recognize the vital role of educators, families, and advocates who have worked to make these issues in every child identity. I want to thank Mount Diablo Unified for being a partner with the parents since I've been a part of the Community Advisory Committee and the ongoing, even in this day of not as much diversity and inclusion in certain areas of the country, but here we stand tall and we stand with our students of all abilities. And I just want to remind everybody that our kids with disabilities that have an IEP are general education students first. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I think we'll probably go over that. All right, and so if we can go ahead and we'll click onto our first slide. So obviously, special education, part of the general education program, and I can go through each one of those goals and tell you how special education fits into it, but I think we can all assume that from where we're going. IDEA is the Individual with Disabilities Education Act. It's what we call it today. However, it's not just one act. There were actually 3 revisions to that act. All of them added additional components. All of them changed things slightly, and all of them had really profound impacts, as you can see by some of the data I'll be sharing. All right. We always talk about IEPs, individual programs. However, to me, the most important part of any IEP is the ITP, which is the transition plan, which is where you're going. Because in my opinion, if you're running to something, you will get there. If you are just wandering around aimlessly, who knows if you'll get there. So really sort of this defining where are we leading this kid is the most important part. And that came into play in 1990. Here's a photo of Gerald Ford signing the first Public Law 94142, which was the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. And I point out that term because it really was the start of what the laws were intended to do. However, as the system has changed, many things have changed since 1975. For example, gas was 85 cents in those days, and people had bars and landline phones in their homes. Many things have been updated since then, and the 2 most recent changes were the changes to 504 regulations regarding eligibility. They took out the old R word from those regulations. And also just this week from 2001, we have an updated definition of dyslexia. So we like to think these things are static. They are not. They change constantly, and we're happy to be a part of those changes. Along came 1990, and a couple of parts were added to that. We started seeing an increase for kids with autism. We also saw at that same time a corresponding decrease for students with, at the time, the R word, however, intellectual disability. So it really did shift how we started to see the capabilities of kids with disabilities even more so. As I already mentioned, our district, we follow all of the federal and state laws regarding special education. And yes, we know that these programs are expensive. We also know that education buys you 2 things. It does not buy you a guaranteed success. It buys you opportunities, and it buys you hope. Those things matter. And it matters to every single kid here, no matter who they are, the body and brains that they come in. We're just going to serve them all. But right now we have 4,698 students with disabilities. And you can see the breakdown right there. There's 13 eligibility categories, but most of them are eligible for speech and language impairment, simply either processing with articulation or language. You see, autism is about 25% of our population. Intellectual disability is a very small amount. We often hear about kids with emotional disabilities and all of those things, but you can see that's a very small percentage of our population. You can also see that Mount Diablo does a really good job of educating kids in our district programs. You see the very small slice there of our kids, the gray slice there. In our non-public schools, we are able to serve over 90% of our kids, and we do so with great pride. We are not a district that sends all of our kids out. As a matter of fact, if you exclude our non-public schools and you count in only our district programs, we actually take more kids in than we send to our district programs by about 5 or 6 kids. We have 12 in-county programs right now, and that's down by about half from about 10 years ago. So again, we're very conscientious of costs, but we're also conscientious of serving kids where they need to be. I want to talk about our dedicated staff. We have a lot of them here today. We have our special ed director, Amy Cedrilla. Hi, Amy. Amy loves attention. We have our 2 assistant directors, Jessica Pozos and Ivana Huthman. And we have one of our program specialists, Kim Huntley, is here today. But we also have, I'm just going to give you about round numbers, about 250 teachers, about 500 assistants, about 50 speech therapists, occupational therapists, about 50 psychologists, physical therapists, assistive technology, AAC, which is communication devices. We certainly could not fit all of those people in this room, and nor would you want us to. But I promise you, we offer robust programs for our kids. Also being very clear that we do maintain kids in least restrictive environments and gen ed as much as possible. We also have our parents, and I want to wave them today. You just met Dorothy, you know Dorothy, but also Nikki is here. Nikki Mora is our co-chair. Hi, Nikki. And then we also have our vice chair here, Veronica, who is back there. And they are a lovely team, and I cannot get them to stop volunteering enough. I told them, no, you do not have to do this. And they said, yes, they do. And I said, okay, do it. And they were amazing. So absolutely lovely. Our board members also participate in our events, so thank you very much. And there's a lovely photo of board member Mayo and Dorothy at our legislative day in Sacramento. They probably walked 5 miles that day, if I remember right. And another one of our celebration events right there in the photo of Nikki and her family. So academic outcomes, we know that IDEA, before the law was passed, 20% of kids were educated. For those of you who are parents, I want you to ask yourself, well, how would you feel if somebody said your kid's not good enough to come to school? And that was the reality for a lot of our kids. They were just told, keep them home. They're not welcome here. And that was legal. IDEA changed that and said, no, it's fine. And you can see the graduation rate was negligible in 1975 for students with disabilities. By 1995, 5 years after that transition plan, we were up to 30%. 2022, we were up to 74%. Last year, 2 years ago, we were at 77%. And I was just told today we increased 4 more percent to 81%. So you can be a glass half full or a glass half empty type of person, but I'm going to go with a glass half full because we're making progress. And you want to talk about closing an achievement gap? There was an achievement gap of 84 points. Now we have an achievement gap of 10. So I'll take it. Add into that, we're going to have the alternate diploma, which will count next year, even though we have had kids on the alternate diploma pathway now for 3 years, but it hasn't hit the dashboard yet, and we will see even greater increases. So work that I'm really, really proud of, again, to increase those opportunities for our kids. Post-secondary outcomes, when IDEA went into play, 2.3% of kids entering college were identified as having a disability. Now it's 22%, which aligns with the general population. So the fact that we've sent the message that people with disabilities, yeah, welcome, you're one of us. Job accomplished, makes me happy. And again, if we're not giving kids diplomas, we're not sending them to college. So one had to come before the other, and I'm quite proud of that. This is a short video that was part of our presentation to the state SELPA. These videos were sent district-wide, and it was created by Kim Huntley, our program specialist, and features our Bridge students. And so please, that it's available for you. You can watch it at your leisure. And I will close out today by sharing these two things with you. This is a picture up in the top right-hand corner of Jonathan Waslin. He's a long-term employee of our district. And next to him is his friend Maureen Donahoe. She's a pioneer from Berkeley. She was part of that civil rights movement that we just heard about, that Ed Roberts group. It's very rare for females to be identified with muscular dystrophy, and she's a person who has lived with muscular dystrophy her whole life. That picture was taken in Berkeley about 2 years ago. So we actually have pioneers now, and we'll continue to fight. And Jonathan's watching at home. He's sick today, so if you could just say hi, Jonathan, that'd be great. He's texting me now, like, don't forget I'm here. And then the bottom picture down there is a picture that I took last week. There's two people in that video. They're both Concord residents. One of them was a female named Vanessa. I went to high school with her. We went to the same high school. She went on to Cal, unlike me. I did not. She graduated from there. She's an artist. The mural at the Oakland airport, that's the life-size mural, 40 feet. Vanessa is the artist of that mural. She is that one. She does have a degree from Cal. She also is a published author, and she also obviously is a painter and an advocate and an ally and a playwright and all of these things. She also had her 52nd birthday on the day this picture was taken, last Thursday. And all I can think about again as a parent, you've got a kid who's got profound disabilities, and the kid, she had grit. She has grit now, you can't imagine. And then finally somebody said, yeah, there's a place for your kids. You can bring them. Very cool, right? That's a great story. So that's Vanessa. She lives right here in town. And she's great. She does not use her voice to speak. She's a person who uses the voice communication device. Next to her is her husband. They live independently in town. They own a home. He's a photographer. He's also a poet. And he is her paid full-time attendant. And he is their full-time caretaker. You'll note he's also a wheelchair user. But the point is, he is the person who takes care of her. That's not the interesting part to this story. What is the interesting part is Steve, her husband, is the 14th child born in the family. And he was born 3 weeks after his 13th sibling, that, number 13 in the family. And that sibling also had cerebral palsy, and that sibling was institutionalized for his whole life. And that's the difference IDEA makes. That's the difference 3 years make. So I just want to point that out. IDEA is not a law on paper, it's a law that changes lives. And on a personal note, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here and work here and be somebody who also can contribute to that. So thank you very much. And thank you for observing IDEA with us.
Thank you.
What a wonderful reason to celebrate. And our lives are blessed by knowing students in the special education department. So thank you.
All right. Next will be 12.2, 2025 California Accountability Dashboard Review. Dr. Clark.
Yes, so we're very excited to share outcomes of our students. Sometimes these meetings are packed with people who are advocating for children, so I would imagine that it'd be packed tonight of folks who are interested on how our students actually did. The dashboard came out several years back. Schools and districts were just ranked by one number. And so with the dashboard, it takes more of a holistic view of a school and gives it basically, and Ms. Thomas is going to explain this, but basically gives them measurements of how they're doing. And so the dashboard is meant to be a more accessible document for folks instead of just looking at a number. So we're always extremely proud of our Mount Diablo students. We're always extremely proud of the efforts that go into supporting them. And so tonight, we're going to hear about our data and our progress. And so I have Samantha Allen and Martha Thomas who are going to present this item, and Christina Filios.
Good evening. Oh, can you hear me? Is it on? Push the button.
It's right there. You go. Better. Thank you. Good evening, Madam President. Welcome. Dr. Clark, Board of Trustees. Tonight, I am here with my colleagues, Christina Felios and Martha Thomas, to share with you our 2025 Mount Diablo Unified School District school dashboard. So we're going to ask you tonight if you could hang on to your questions till the end of the presentation, but we will stay up here to answer any questions you may have. So we've already seen the LCAP this evening. These are our LCAP goals. These are sort of the center of our work. This is all of our work stems from our LCAP and our superintendent's goals. Okay, so this is a slide I wanted to share with you before we got started tonight. It's a new slide for you, most of you. I think some of you who have been at PAC may have seen this before, but this is a visual representation of our assessment cycles and how we do the work that we do in this district to serve our students and their needs. If you look at the top green arrow on this slide, what you see is our external facing indicators, which means like that lagging data, that one-time test at the end of the year. Our CASP data is that. Our grad rate and our dashboard that you're here tonight, that is this external facing indicator, as well as like the LPAC that's held once a year. So the middle arrow there is our internal indicators. These are our benchmark assessments that, as you can see, we hold 3 times a year. And this is like M-Class, STAR, SEL, and these are indicators that we use on a regular basis to address our needs in the classroom and to think about, are we progressing in the way we want to towards standards for our students? What's exciting is this year, the blue arrow is what we've really been working on, which are those smaller assessment cycles that happen in the classroom by grade level, by subject. And these are anywhere from 2 to 6 week cycles where teachers come together and talk about student progress and build strategies together to improve student progress towards standard. And so this is all the work we've been doing this year that you all have seen thus far. Okay, and this is a really simple slide, but I'm really proud to say that our district has worked really hard in alignment. And this alignment has, what you'll see tonight, we are moving in the right direction. And part of this is due to the fact that we are truly aligned all the way from the superintendent down to the classroom. And so when you think about the LCAP, and there's a slide that I share with our staff often that has the superintendent's goals right under the LCAP goals so that you can see how they align specifically to the goals and resources that we're providing as a district. What's really exciting is if you look at your school SIPSAs, which I would love the community to do, you'll see that those are aligned directly to our LCAP goals and our superintendent's goals, but they're specified to the site, the specific needs at the site. And then on top of that, our grade levels and our subject areas have their own goals. These goals are to get really microscopic around what are the needs that will eventually progress. And the idea is at the end of the year, that green line will see improvement based on following all these cycles of assessment. So I'm now going to ask Christina to come up and talk to you a little bit more about continuous improvement. So this graphic is represents our 3-year cycle of improvement specifically for our LCAP. So just as a reminder, the LCAP is a 3-year plan. We are currently implementing year 2, and we follow the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle of improvement. Martha is going to be presenting on the California dashboard, and as Sam shared, most of the dashboard data is considered lagging indicators. So for example, we did not receive this dashboard information prior to planning for year 2 of the LCAP. So one of the things that's important, that's part of why we call it lagging. And part of what's important is that middle line of data that Sam shared. It's really important for us to have real-time local data so that we can be monitoring our progress in addition to waiting for the lagging indicators from the state. So this is just a reminder that our LCAP, for our dashboard indicators, we also have 3-year outcome goals. So we're working on those improvements over the full 3 years of the plan.
So the dashboard is California's public reporting tool. It gives communities a clear picture of how schools and districts are performing across multiple measures and not just as scores. It highlights areas of strength areas needing support, and equity gaps across our student groups. And it's really designed to drive continuous improvement and transparency across the system with our whole community. The dashboard includes both state indicators like ELA, math, graduation, chronic absenteeism, and local indicators that we as a district have to report on. The state indicators let us compare performance across schools and districts, and the local indicators, such as implementation of academic standards or school climate, tell us how well we're doing at supporting the conditions of learning. The dashboard also reports for all major student groups so we can identify equity gaps. So these are the required local measures, and for 2025, Mount Diablo met all standards. These measures speak to foundational pieces of the system, implementing standards, providing a broad course of study, ensuring basic services, engaging families, and collecting local climate data. These don't come with performance level colors like our other indicators, but they do reflect important systems work that supports our student learning. The dashboard itself uses 5 performance levels from red to blue. A school or district receives one color per each measure, and that color comes from combining 2 pieces of data, status and change. The status indicates the current year's performance, and change is whether that performance improved, declined, or stayed about the same from last year. And together, these determine the performance level color. This graphic here, we call it the 5x5, shows you exactly how the status and change interact. So each measure has a different set of cut points that determine whether status is very high, high, medium, low, or very low. And then we look at the change from last year, and where those across the top, sorry, and where those 2 lines meet is where we assign the performance level color. So in this example, the school performed at a high level for status on the vertical column and in the increased range for change on the horizontal row. And this results in a performance level of green where the 2 scores meet on the grid. And this type of measurement ensures that both current performance and improvement are represented in our data. This slide shows the district-wide results across all 8 state indicators. You'll notice mixed results, some upward movement, and some areas that maintained or declined. We'll dig deeper into each indicator shortly, but this gives you a quick snapshot of where we stand as a district. I do want to point out this is the first year that science has had a performance level color, and we're proud to see that Mount Diablo achieved a performance level of green in this area. All right. For language arts and math, the dashboard uses a measurement called distance from standard. It is not a proficiency rate. Distance from standard shows how far above or how far below from standard the average student scored. Change in the distance from standard tells us whether we're closing or widening the gap. One important note, participation matters for this indicator. If participation falls below 95%, the dashboard automatically adjusts our scores downward. Here we're seeing our district-wide performance for language arts. Note the performance level color has moved up to yellow, and the average distance from standard has moved very close to standard and is only slightly below the state average. Also indicated is the performance level for each of our student groups. Our American Indian student group, you'll notice, does not have a performance color, and that's due to the small size of the student group. I have indicated with red boxes any of our student groups where participation was below 95%, which means their results were moved downward. Here we're seeing our district-wide performance in math. Our performance level in this area has also moved up to yellow, and the average DFS has also moved closer to standard. Mount Diablo actually outperformed the state in this indicator. Again, except for American Indians, performance level for each student group is indicated, and also a red box for participation rate. All right, moving on to science, and this is again our first year with science performance. So for science, instead of using a distance from standard measurement like we saw with language arts and math, they use a fancy term, science points. Although each grade level has its own unique scale scores, all have the same 100-point range, which makes it a lot easier for us to compare results across grade levels. The change in the science points tells us whether we're closing or widening that gap. Again, like with language arts and math, there could be a participation rate reduction for under 95%. Okay. So here is our scores for science. You may notice the number of students is very different from language arts and math, and that's because science is only tested in grades 5, 8, and then once in high school. For us, typically that's in 11th grade. Okay, levels have been assigned both at the district and student group level, and like language arts and math, we did have some groups that were impacted by lower participation rates. One additional note, Mount Diablo is less than 1 point from the state average in science. Okay, moving on to our LP. The LP is the English Learner Progress Indicator, and it measures how many of our English learners made progress from one LPAC level to the next or remained at the highest level of level 4. Like the other indicators, it also includes status and change. Only students in grades 1 through 12 are included in the LP scores because students have to have 2 years in a row of assessment on the LPAC to be included in this measure. In 2025, both our English learners and our long-term English learners received an orange rating. So this does continue to remain a very important area of focus for Mount Diablo, particularly with our long-term English learners. Moving out of academics into other areas, we have the college and career readiness rates. They are determined by a percentage of our graduates who meet prepared criteria. Some examples of the prepared criteria include our CTE pathways, meeting UC and CSU requirements, work-based learning experiences, and the state seal of biliteracy, among others. The rate is tied directly to the graduating cohort, and results do fall into 5 performance levels. Our district's overall CCR rating is green, with 44.7% of graduates meeting the prepared level. Student group performance varies, and we do see some gaps for student groups. This year, we were proud to see increases in performance level for our English learners, our homeless students, our Asian, and our African American student groups. Chronic absenteeism is one of our other indicators, and it is defined as missing 10% or more of school for any reason. The state only includes grades K through 8 for this indicator. In this area, lower percentage points represent stronger performance. And students must be enrolled at least 31 instructional days to count, and suspensions do count as absence. Okay. In 2025, our district remained in the orange range with 18.4% of students chronically absent. Although our absenteeism level is higher than we would like, we did not see a statistically significant increase in our levels of chronic absenteeism last year. Graduation rate, very proud of this one. The graduation rate indicator includes students who graduate in 4 years and students from the prior cohort who graduate during their 5th year. At this time, only regular diplomas are included in this indicator. So our students earning equivalency certificates or non-standard diplomas are included in our number of students, but they are not counted as graduates. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry. Our 4- and 5-year combined graduation rate is 89.9%, earning a green rating and an overall improvement of 3.5% from last year and outperforming the state average by 2.1%. And we are very excited that we no longer have any student groups in the red or orange performance level for this indicator. Our last indicator is the suspension rate. So the suspension rate indicator reports the percentage of students who were suspended at least once during the school year. Students are only counted once regardless of how many suspension incidents occurred. For this measurement, again, lower is better. In 2025, we earned a green rating, which is an increase of 2 performance levels, and we declined a full percentage point more than the state average. Except for our Filipino student group who maintained a high level in green, all of our student groups moved up in performance by 1 or 2 levels. And we're very proud that we no longer have any students in the red area for this indicator. Thank you. Thank you for clicking. You're very
Does anyone have any questions before we leave the podium?
It's there are obviously still areas for improvement, but the progress and especially the graduation part was extra exciting. And when I was previously on the board, we had increased graduation requirements, and so still seeing graduation rates go up in combination with that is just a testament to the work being done. So thank you.
I don't know how to say this intelligently, but I am impressed with the science performance. And knowing that there is math and ELA and science, I want to see everything rise up across the board. So I know we're probably analyzing it, but is it the interest in the subject area? Is it the complexity? Any ideas why we would do so well in science?
I think you probably hit the nail on the head. It's an interest level. And it's also when we have just the smaller groupings as well, it's a much more targeted assessment that occurs.
Okay.
So that could also be part of that indicator.
Okay. I apologize for the wild card question. It's just intriguing to me to see that bright star there. Thank you.
Thank you so
for
much
the presentation.
Thank you.
All righty. Next, Food and Nutrition Services Program Update and Wellness Policy Triennial Assessment, Dr. Clark.
Yes, we've had Alex here before to present, but we had a request to bring her back, and I just want to thank her. We got her out at this late hour, and our cafeterias have to be open first thing in the morning to serve all those kids and things like that. But I know Alex has some exciting news, and I hope those students who were here earlier are stealing your thunder a little bit there with our wellness policies. So again, Alex Emmett.
Thank you so much for inviting me this evening. And I know Angie and I were talking about perfect timing that we had the students referencing the wellness policy this evening. So good evening, Dr. Clark, Board of Trustees. Again, I'm Alex, I'm the Director of Food and Nutrition Services here at the district. I'm joined by my colleague, Angie Vickroy. She's our program manager, and she's going to talk you through the wellness policy triennial evaluation that we recently conducted. And I'm just going to go over an overview of our program, some highlights, some of the things that we're working on. So let's start with an overview of food and nutrition services at Mount Diablo. We serve almost 27,000 meals every day. This work is carried out by 189 food service employees across 55 schools and programs across the district. Last year, we served over 4.5 million meals. I was crunching the numbers. This is actually a 23% increase since the 22-23 school year. So this is 1 million more meals per year that we're serving. Primarily, we serve breakfast and lunch under the National School Breakfast and National School Lunch program. We also partner with CARES, and we offer snack and suppers at select schools. Right now, we offer snack and supper in 24 schools. We've launched 6 additional programs in the last 2 years, and in February, we're launching 1 more school. Suppers are served under the child and adult care food program, so it's a different program. So clearly, you can see that there's a huge student demand for nourishing school meals here in Mount Diablo and across the nation. During the 23-24 school year, we worked together as a team to develop a clear mission and vision for our department to guide our work and our priorities. Our mission, you can see, is easy. You know, this is what we do every day. This is our reason for existing. We exist to nourish students for academic success. Our vision is our North Star. So this is where we want to move to as a department in the next 10 to 15 years. Simply put, it's what we're working towards. And I'll warn you, it's a bit of a mouthful, but we're a team that has a big vision. So our vision is Food and Nutrition Services is an industry leader with a thriving and positive team that serves our students delicious, diverse, scratch-cooked, locally sourced meals in modern and efficient facilities while embodying the values of equity, sustainability, collaboration, and innovation. To support our vision, our team has 5 goals. Our goals are 1, to transform facilities at schools in the central kitchen, mainly to further enable scratch cooking. 2, to increase scratch cooking, both by investing in facilities and staff. 3, to invest in our team through hiring and also increasing fully benefited positions, and then also creating staff training programs and creating career growth opportunities for our employees. Our 4th goal is to invest in the local economy. We want to double our procurement of foods from local BIPOC-owned and small, medium family businesses and farms. And our 5th goal is to reduce waste and improve the student experience by implementing compostable packaging and also reducing packaging and waste wherever possible. You'll hear a bit more about the progress towards these goals later in my presentation, but we're already making significant progress. Just a few examples of the moves that we've already made. Almost 80% of our produce is local and over 40% is organic. In the past 2 years, we've actually added 20 new fully benefited positions, and the vast majority of those are out at our school sites, Teamsters positions. We've also already moved 100% of our packaging to compostable products. So how is all of this work funded? California became the first state in the nation to adopt the Universal Meals Program in the 22-23 school year. This followed the National Universal Meals Program that happened during the pandemic. And luckily, the program has continued to be funded in each subsequent year. The way this works is the state of California supplements the funding from USDA. Our department, we receive about $20 million of funding on an annual basis, and this comes in the form of individual meal reimbursements. So it's not like a $20 million grant. This is every breakfast, every lunch that we serve, we receive funding for that meal. We're approximately 50% federally funded and 50% state funded. The royal we, actually Angie, applied for district-wide community eligibility provision, which is CEP, last school year. This has been a great program. It streamlines paperwork for families. It also streamlines paperwork for our department, and it eliminated the need for meal applications at all of our schools. So now all schools can use the household income form for LCFF purposes. Now a bit about our menus. We offer meat and vegetarian menu options daily at all schools. All meals come with fresh fruit and vegetable options and then optional milk. Menus are available on our website, and then there's comprehensive nutritional information and allergen information available on link. It's also linked onto our website. We're always happy to accommodate students with allergies or other disabilities. Parents can complete and submit the medical form, which is also on our website. So how do we decide what to serve? Well, if you've never worked in school nutrition, it's really complicated. USDA sets forth the rules for the program, and they vary by grade level, and our program's funding is tied to compliance. We have to offer 5 different food groups: proteins, grains, fruits, vegetables, and milks. It gets a little more complicated with the veggies, and there's 5 different subgroups. Since 2012, the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, students have been required to take a fruit or a vegetable with breakfast and lunch. There's also calorie, sodium, and saturated fat minimums and maximums. Those vary depending on the menu and the grade level. The way this works for our district is our team develops and tests recipes out at schools. Then we use a software system to track inventory and the nutritionals. There's various facilities across the district too that impact what we can serve. You know, we're really fortunate here that most of our kitchens have cooking facilities. To some extent here, the secondary schools, they just have more robust facilities. And so we're able to do a little bit more of our scratch cooking program at the secondary schools, though we've made a lot of progress at our elementary schools as well. The secondary schools, they scratch cook things like bread doughs, they make like the homemade zombies, that kind of thing. We handle raw proteins at the secondary schools. All right, so there's a lot of rules and regulations, but we still get to be creative and make food that students love. My approach to school food has always been sort of a both and, where I think the best thing to do is offer students familiar favorites and also expose them to new flavors, new things that they might not have the opportunity to try before, especially produce. We prioritize scratch cooking and fresh ingredients, and we also strive to make our menus represent our district's cultural diversity. Last year, we introduced new halal items, so including chicken, deli turkey, and actually hot dogs. And actually, some students at Foothill just emailed me today. They featured some of the halal items in their school newspaper, so that was really cool to see. Some of our most popular menu items, besides pizza, we offer tri-tip sandwiches, sweet chili teriyaki wings, and hot honey wings. Those are pictured there. Banh mi sandwiches, smoothie bowls. We even did like an acai bowl last year. Lots of pasta. We have gnocchi on the menu right now. Birria tacos and birria quesadillas. Those are a personal favorite of mine. And then we just newly introduced last month whole grain crepes with fresh fruit, which have been really popular. All right. So you heard earlier that one of our department's 5 goals is to invest in the local economy. And one of the key ways that we do this is through our farm to school program. The photo on this slide is a huge pallet of Mimi's organic strawberries. Mimi's is a farm, it's a minority owned farm down in Salinas, California, and we buy all of our strawberries from there in the spring and summer, and that's in our warehouse. Over 40% of our produce is organic, and we're working to increase this. And we have a kind of complex but amazing procurement system. We actually work with over 30 food vendors. And so whereas many districts work with 1 or 2 or 3 large distributors, our warehouse really allows us to buy directly from local farms and vendors, everything from produce to yogurt to even like local whole wheat flour. To increase accountability and transparency and also just ensure that we're meeting our goals, we're working with the Center for Good Food Purchasing, which is a nonprofit. We're doing a deep procurement analysis to identify opportunities to improve our local and sustainable purchasing practices. Our team partners closely with the CARES program and newly with Growing Healthy Kids on our Harvest of the Month program. Every month we feature a unique local crop, and we work with CARES and Growing Healthy Kids to offer taste tests to students, either in after school or as part of their garden education. Here are some of our recent Harvest of the Month features. This month we have pomegranates from Lodi. They're really delicious. Next month we have bok choy from Salinas, and it's going to be served in ramen bowls for secondary, and then with the General Chow's chicken and rice bowls in elementary schools. Another department goal you heard about at the beginning of this presentation was waste reduction. We're making big strides in this area thanks to our partnership with the maintenance and operations team. With M&O, we implemented waste sorting at all elementary schools this year, and we're expanding to secondary schools next year. So this is part of the requirements of SB 1383, which is a state law, but of course it's also the right thing to do for our students' future and for the environment. Our department also transitioned in 2024 to 100% compostable packaging, and we have share tables in all of our schools. We've eliminated plastic sporks, the little plastic wrapped fork spoon things, and we've implemented compostable utensils this year. This was quite a complicated project, you have no idea. Mount Diablo with 7 cities, there's 2 different trash haulers, and one of them has different rules depending on which part of the county you're in, and whew, I've learned a lot. We've also eliminated individually wrapped cereal and replaced it with bulk organic cereal. And then finally, we're piloting bulk milk to further reduce food and plastic waste. We, like all districts in California, have been extremely fortunate to receive additional state grant funds to support infrastructure recently as part of the rollout of California Universal Meals. And we've been busy investing this money to improve the student experience and our kitchens. 12 schools have or are scheduled to get new serving lines to properly hold food hot and cold and also improve the student experience. This year, we're planning to eliminate the kind of roll-up window service at 3 schools, which I'm really excited about. We're also working with M&O to redesign the serving areas or the MUs at 7 schools. This year, we're investing in our central kitchen. We're getting blast chillers and vacuum sealers and replacing their walk-ins. This is going to help us move towards more scratch cooking at our elementary sites. Last, we've purchased a new refrigerated truck and a van to support our growing participation. And then we've purchased 150 new small pieces of equipment to support our kitchens and our staff. With that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Angie, who will discuss the recent results of Mount Diablo's Wellness Policy Triennial Assessment, and we can take questions at the end of Angie's presentation on what I've shared in her slides.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening, board, community. Thank you. Here. All right, I'm just going to dive right in. The wellness policy, the triennial assessment overview, it's a federal requirement that districts have to complete. It evaluates both policy quality as well as real world implementation. So we use WellSat. Of course, we love our acronyms. It just stands for Wellness School Assessment Tool that was designed by UConn Red Center for Food Policy and Health with their Department of Ed. So what that does is it compares our local policy to national best practices. The overall scoring measures comprehensiveness. So how many of the topics from the assessment are addressed. I'll get into the topics here in a minute. And then the overall strength. So how strongly they are written into policy. The 6 sections touch on federal requirements, nutrition, environment, and services, nutrition education, physical education, and physical activity, employee wellness, integration, and coordination. So this cycle, the district-wide review was conducted by a multi-stakeholder wellness committee in June that consisted of district administration, President Mason, thank you, for always being such a staple there, nurses, parents, community members, teachers, food service custodial, among others. So it's done in 3 steps. The first step is you score the policy, right, how it's written. The second step is you score the practices, so how it's actually being practiced out in the schools. And then the third is to summarize and share, which we're doing now. All right. There's a lot of work to be done. So key findings, total comprehensiveness, comprehensiveness score is 50%. And to remind you, that is how many topics out of the 6 different sections were addressed. And then the strength score at 13%. Again, that's how strongly they're written into the policy. So key strengths include nutrition services, physical education practices, as well as skills-based interactive nutrition education like growing healthy kids. These results show that while many topics are mentioned in policy, the language is often general and stronger, clearer requirements are needed. So the difference between must refrain versus encouraged to avoid. Practices across schools vary, and in several areas, strong work is happening, but is not formally captured in policy, again, like our growing healthy kids. Key growth opportunities. This is both in policy and or in practice. Clarify responsibilities for school level implementation. There's no site wellness committees that currently exist, right? It takes a village, guys. Strengthen oversight of fundraisers, school stores, celebrations, and other competitive food sales. So what this means is get creative, like how we've implemented the pizza parties that are the reimbursable, the free meal at school. Pizza parties or barbecues to celebrate. Improve consistency of seated meal times, which are not currently met all of the time, that are currently met only part of the time at some schools. Expand family and community physical activity opportunities and before and after school offerings. So I've seen things for like bike to school and the color runs, fun runs. Increase staff training on smart snacks. I'm sure there's few of us that could define what a smart snack is. PE instruction and wellness implementation. Improve documentation and examples of employee wellness efforts. So next steps. The District Wellness Committee will need to reconvene to prioritize improvement areas across policy and practice. Some areas that show strong practice but are not supported within policy, again, growing healthy kids, whereas some areas have strong policy with little and inconsistent implementation. We need to develop clear implementation plans with assigned responsibilities, timelines, and monitoring strategies, and update policy language to accurately reflect strong existing practices and strengthen areas where practice is inconsistent. And I could tell you what I heard tonight is we want to add sustainability to that. So I invite those Northgate and College Now students to join our wellness committee. That would be exciting. So overall, the policy and the assessment are required for our food program, and there has to be buy-in from the entire community. The biggest message here is that success happens when we collaborate and we are stronger together. Thank you. We're open for any questions, comments?
I have one question. How much, if any, fresh produce are you getting from all of these gardens that we have right in our district?
The answer is not much, but occasionally we do. Rio Vista does quite a lot from their farm and garden space. That's probably the one that does the most. Mostly most of the gardens are for education purposes, right? Because the quantity that they're growing isn't really enough. But where we can, it's really exciting, even if you can just feature a little bit on the salad bar. And actually with Growing Healthy Kids, we just drafted an SOP that we're going to bring to Contra Costa Department of Public Health around just setting forth all the right policies and practices around harvesting school garden produce. Yeah.
Because when we started that 2-acre garden many years ago, Riverview, that was our plan, is that produce would go to our food services and feed our kids. So
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think it can supplement produce for the school meal program. In my experience, it's not usually enough to really supply the salad bar for a week, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you share what the share tables entail?
Sure. So after Healthy Hunger Free Kids in 2012, share tables kind of became a thing because there's this rule that the students have to take a fruit or a vegetable in order for us to count the meal as reimbursable. And so the share table is a place where if they don't want that or if they don't want a component, it's only for wrapped items or whole fruit or that kind of thing. They can put it on the share table. We've recently purchased new ones that have like an ice bin basically, so it holds the food at temperature, and we have an SOP for how to deal with this, but it's essentially to control food waste.
Thank you. And then a couple comments. So one, huge mistake not having dinner before this meeting, and then seeing like the pictures of all the delicious food. I had actually planned on pulling item 15.25 from the consent agenda, simply because I wanted to highlight how fantastic I think it is, the whole grain crepes and the fact that students are embracing them. And it does seem like that, there's some administrative stuff to work on, but I think that just pales in comparison to the change that I think we've seen over these last 10 plus years. And it's just a testament to the work being done and seeing, things that the choices of, you either have to do low quality in order to be low cost and be cost effective versus cooking from scratch and showing that these things can be done, delivering high quality, healthy, less processed food. And so I'm just so proud to see the steps and the continuing efforts, and want to commend you and thank you for that, and to everyone in the department. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I think huge part of it is honestly universal meals, right? Like not having to differentiate students' eligibility based on income and just all the administrative burden that goes along with that. And so it makes the funding make a lot more sense. And you can see here, and I think in lots of districts across California, just the transformation. So thank you.
Just a quick comment. I mean, I think my main lunch is going to the cafeteria and getting food. I think over the years, it's certainly gotten a lot better, the quality and like the food and the choices. I know today I had this rice bowl with like some ground beef on top, and it just thinks delicious. And I just want to thank you for the continuation of your work. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so meaningful. Thank you so much.
I just called rice bowl with ground beef on top. What is the fancy? What is the? I mean, that's what our kids may say, but what's the fancy name for it? Because I know you know what it is.
It's a picadillo bowl. So it's a Cuban picadillo bowl. And actually so it comes with plantains, and this is the first time we've ever done plantains, right? And so in some schools they're really popular and kids are like super into them. And then in other schools, kids are like, oh my gosh. So today we were actually trying to, in one of our schools, actually in Monte Gardens, right? Deanna was there, trying to taste test and sell the plantains a little bit. So
And I also want to thank you for the wellness policy work. I know that that's difficult, and trying to change practices with fundraising and giving people rewards, giving students rewards with foods and doing sales and things like that. That is an uphill battle, and I just appreciate you bringing data so that we can use that data to work with our staffs and really curbing that. So thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, board member reports. Do you want to start us off, student representative?
Okay, so last week it was, I think, really great week from attending the CSB conference. I just got some ideas on how to first connect with students and to tackle issues to support students. I think the first thing I plan to do after hearing all the other student board members and hearing other ideas is to reach out more to the student councils and to offer to come to meetings and just to bring their ideas and concerns to the board. I also plan on having members from the student advisory committee to come, I believe, to the next board meeting to just share about their experiences and any support they need. And then another big part from the conference was talking about how AI is going to be used at schools. I did some research about our own AI task force, and I realized that we don't have student representation right now. I know the task force is new, but I believe that if we're going to move forward with AI, that we should include students in this conversation. That's it.
Thank you.
Or Colin telling me that I'm next. So also was at CSBA. Thank you to Ms. Jaranek for just doing a fantastic job of organizing and setting things up. There was a minor glitch with Marriott, which was not at all her fault, but thank you for Trustee McDougall for, I almost ended up sleeping on his floor, but it all worked out. I think we'll be looking at some more of these CSBA resolutions and cleanup of board policy. And President Mason and I attended a session on that and some of the reasoning behind it, but just a great opportunity there. I have to say, this has been one of the most inspiring board meetings I've ever attended. I think the reflection of so many of the great things that are happening across this district, to hear the student, the graduate with the support of the SOAR program, hearing from our College Now students. And then, in particular, I just want to take a moment. To me, the epitome of the American dream is these immigrants who've come here and now they are taking advantage of our adult education programs. They are immersing themselves in our language. They're continuing to improve themselves and pursue the dream. And it's not just for them, but it's for their entire family. And I think it is just such an honor to be part of that mission and to support these folks who, again, I think this is what America is all about. And so I'm just so proud of the work that's being done there. And I had the opportunity, I went to Northgate to check out the mock Congress, and they had it in multiple locations across the school. I very specifically asked which room my daughter was going to be in and avoided that at all costs. And it was just so great to see how they conduct the mock Congress, the level of preparation from the students, the intense debates, and the teachers are mostly hands off. It is the students who are running this, and frankly, you compare that to C-SPAN, and there's a lot that our national government can learn from how our students conduct the mock Congress. So that was a fantastic one. And then I'll make a mention. I did go to a basketball game, girls basketball game at Concord High, and I just Concord High right now. I don't think they have a JV team this year. They only have a varsity team. They've had some injuries, and it was really cool to see there is a group of like 10 or 15 boys who were there cheering very loudly for the Concord girls and just bringing a lot of spirit to it. And it was a great thing to see. And I think, wins and losses aside, there's just so much to be gained for our students from participating in athletics. And I will wrap up my report there. So thank you.
Thank you. I was trying to remember something I want to add.
Want me to come back to you?
No, I could do it. First, I want to congratulate and thank our Mount Diablo Special Education Community Advisory Committee and the special education staff for providing a warm and welcoming holiday event for special education students and families last night. Crafts supported fine motor muscle skills with these small children and also encourage creativity. And the games required physical education skills and reasoning skills, and these were also offered. Santa and Mrs. Claus were present to hear children's dream lists, and the room was filled with joyful voices and thankful guardians during the 2-hour event. There were families that really had to be pushed out the door at 8 o'clock in the evening. It was an amazing event, and it's very heartwarming, and it's presented in an environment that is conducive for our special education students who sometimes need less noise and fewer people. On November 18th, I attended the Special Ed CAC meeting, and the presentation was entitled Beyond the Noise, Supporting Your Student in Social Places. This would also apply to some of our husbands, so you might take a look at that presentation on the special education website. On November 20th, there was the Measure J regular meeting, and Melanie Koslow, the director of M&O, presented the regular status reports for the quarter. On December 6th, the Mount Diablo Adult Education Program had a program and craft fair event at Pleasant Hill Middle School. I was able to attend. It was very well attended, and if you wanted to do some shopping, there were amazing wood products, floral arrangement, sewing items, and jewelry for sale. And plus there was the, one of my favorites is always the quilt display. There was also acrylic and oil paintings as well. On December 8th, I'm involved with the Mount Diablo Education Foundation, and thanks to a generous community, we had a very successful Giving Tuesday event, and more than $12,800 was raised. The first $2,000 is dedicated to the Concord High School Wellness Center to help them get off to a greater start. STEM programs like Mosamac, Gizmos, and Mystery Science. And then cultural arts experiences will also, each time we achieved another level, it moved us to a new category for funding. The Foundation Board approved the submittal of several grants to provide cultural arts and science experiences for our Mount Diablo students. So keep your fingers crossed. We'll know about those in January and February. On December 16th, there was also a parent advisory committee meeting at Willow Creek Center. I attended the CSBA conference and attended I think there were 8 sessions. I won't bore you with all of the names of those sessions, but some of my favorites were the latest in Title IX and 5 to the front, 5 pressure points for California boards. And then the last one I attended was on special education and the school board. On the advocacy front, I want to call out something that just happened yesterday. I don't know if you happened to see it in the news and if you took time to contact our congressional members. It took nearly 3 years and a lapse in funding for the Secure Rural Schools Act to be revived, at least temporarily. Yesterday, the U.S. House overwhelmingly voted to extend the program through 2027 to provide retroactive payments back to 2023 to districts that lost funding while this act was lapsed. The vote was 399 to 5. The bill was approved unanimously in the Senate in June, and it now awaits the president's signature. Despite broad bipartisan support, the Secure Rural Schools Act, which is run by the U.S. Forest Service, expired in the fall of 2023, with the final payouts made in 2024. So school districts in these areas have done without federal funding based on this act. This year, the program, that year in 2024, the program distributed more than $232 million to more than 700 counties across the United States and Puerto Rico, with nearly $34 million going to California schools. While public school budgets are largely supported by local property taxes, districts surrounded by untaxed federal forest land, which we all love, have depended upon modest payments from the U.S. Forest Service to stay afloat. And the example provided was in Trinity County, the federal government owns more than 75% of the land, limiting the tax base and ability to pass local bonds for things like campus maintenance. Advocacy is important for public education. And I want to thank anyone who reached out to their congressional representatives and encouraged a yes vote on this important bill. Yes, it doesn't affect us, but it will affect families that may move to our area or students that may come to our schools or colleges and universities. And it's all important. Thank you. Thank you. What? No, you go first there and go last. That's the whole thing. Oh, yeah, we gotta get his baby.
All right. Okay, first of all, on the 19th of November, I took an online course on from the Leadership Institute on Robert's Rules of Order, which brought me up to speed with all the correct ways we should be conducting our meetings. We do it pretty well, so I have to say that was enlightening. On the 20th of November, I went to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee with our former president here. And I was only able to stay a short period of time, but they did a good review of how they've been spending Measure J money. On the 2nd of December, just before the CSBA conference, I attended the Pacific Research Institute all-day seminar conference where they had a think tank providing interesting perspective on school board issues. It was very interesting to hear how other people from outside the industry we're looking at how we are performing. That evening, I made the mistake of scheduling a town hall back here in Concord. So I came from Sacramento back to Concord, did the town hall that night, and then drove back for the rest of the CSBA conference the next morning. So was quite active on the roads. But we did have a good turnout, about 12 people at our town hall. We had good discussion and good reporting and questions and observations, which I'll write up in a report to the superintendent. Then they attended the CSBA conference, which everybody's mentioned here. But I want to highlight the good candidate forums that we heard from governor candidates and for candidates for the school SSPI, is School State Superintendent of Public Instruction is the correct title. And so we had good forums of candidates, not all of them, but the ones who are probably the most possible to be elected showed up for these candidate forums. I found that there were several good breakouts, excellent breakouts that I attended. And one was on the Mahmoud decision this last summer about opting out, parents opting their kids out. And it's interesting how complicated the issue becomes because one question that intrigued me was that can atheists opt out for religious reasons? And they have to consider this. And yet, I don't think, I'm not sure the atheists want to be known as considered a religion, but they can opt out for religious reasons, apparently. I also went to a session on Beyond the Ban on how we handle controversial books are handled in our districts. And one other session, which was very informative on the last morning, a session on section 115 trust funds, which explained how they can put away money for future district obligations like pensions. And I brought this idea to superintendent and to Mr. Vargas to see if we might be able to pursue that with ourselves, our district, because this would be a good way to protect money in a trust fund that would protect it for our obligations coming up in the future. So I found that to be very interesting. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'll spare you all. I just want to wish for our students, we've only got 7 more school days left until the winter break. And I hope that especially our middle and high school students have successful finals, that our teachers make it through to the end with all of their sanity in place and all the families enjoy their children at home for the 2 weeks towards the end of the school year. And I can't wait to see you all in 2026.
Good night.
Yes.
Okay, this is always my longest report of the year because I go to the conference. And sorry for you guys. My husband travels with me because I'm a sleepwalker, so he can keep me out of trouble. But I make him then go to workshops that I can't go to. So quickly, and before I start that, I have to thank Supervisor Chanel Pretzon's office for helping with our turkey, Operation Turkey in Bay Point right before Thanksgiving, and Golden State Waters, which is our local water company that gives enough money for each of the elementary schools and the middle school in Bay Point to get 15 turkeys to give out to their families. And we were very successful, got all the turkeys delivered this year. And then also thank you to the CAC committee, because I went home covered in glitter from having a wonderful time doing arts and crafts with our students. Okay, so I went to local resources and shared responsibilities, which talks about fundings for schools and the effects of first Proposition 13, which had an effect on schools, and then Prop 98, which had an effect on schools. And the bottom line is you can literally have schools, people on 2 different sides of the street have a $16,000 difference on what they're getting per student because of the more affluent areas versus the non-affluent areas. And the whole point of that is we need to advocate for change. And one of the starts of that change would be that we be funded by our not attendance, but enrollment, the kids that are here. The other one is the state's turn, which closing the achievement gap, which talked about the many needs that our special ed students faced and all the pitfalls that we have with costly lawsuits and increase in the student absences since COVID. And that's something parents can help us with by sending their kids to school on a regular basis. Governing what matters, alt ed reform, was looking at 7th through 12th graders and how to rethink how we discipline kids by simply sending them home. We're not doing them any favor by sending them home. So to keep them in school and use more real life examples in education that they can relate to so they stay in school and want to be there. The do's, don'ts, and how-tos of how board members should be acting at meetings. They should not be posting their views on social media anywhere. They should not be on their phones during meetings or looking at their phones because it gives a perception that there's input from someone other than the public. Once a vote is taken by the board owns it as a whole. Even if you voted no for it, it's the vote of the board and you move forward. And remember, most importantly, that the public and our students are watching how we behave. Hiding in plain sight was funding opportunities for students to look at equity gaps and intervene early and get them on the right track to graduate. So we're doing a very good job at that. We're trying to keep track of the kids and getting them up to their grade point averages and what they need before they go to graduation. Show me the money. California's fiscal outlook. Our bookkeeper will love this because we got it was a legislative analyst that says we already are $2.4 billion ahead of where we expected to be, but that only pays down a part of the deficit that we're facing. So basically, we're not ahead of the game at all. They're predicting the COLA will be in next year 2.5, the year after that 3.77, and then they turn around and say, but there's many things that can happen between then and now, including federal losses that we don't really know what we're going to get. 5 to the front, 5 pressure points for California boards and what to do about them. Talking about school closures due to declining enrollment. Again, we're doing a good job there. We have not had to do that yet. And make sure your policies are up to date regarding all of the issues that have become a hot topic. And that's why when you see our agenda with a gazillion board policies every meeting, that's because we're doing our job and keeping them all up to date and then making sure they're relevant to the work that we do here. Fast and furious, keeping up with federal action on education and what it means. U.S. Department of Ed wants to, state law can provide some protection for everything that the U.S. Department of Ed wants to take back and not give us anymore. It's going to be very confusing for a while, but they say don't overreact. We'll see what happens with that. And current legal issues facing districts are negotiations, which we've done well with that. Immigration issues. All students have the right to attend school, whether they're documented or not, and the school should have a plan. We have a plan for that. Opting out is a big issue, but my experience from the time I was a student to when I worked in the schools to when my kids went in the school, we've always been able to opt out in Mount Diablo Unified School District if you check with your school and talk about what your issue might be. And attendance recovery was very interesting. They talked about possibly using ELOP funds to recover attendance loss by having after-school programs that kids can attend. And cell phone usage was a big issue. Again, we've taken care of that a lot with our Yonder bags. And the last one, again, they stressed on, which was the one Mr. Lawrence, Trustee Lawrence and I were at, about how important it is that we have the policies, but that we know what they are and we actually follow them. So with that, I'll pass it to you, Dr.
Wow. Lots going on there. So I just have a couple things. So bear with me for a minute. So first of all, I somewhat agree with Trustee Lawrence about this being an inspiring board meeting. It is all of our board meetings are inspiring. Everything we do in this work is inspiring. But in this you know, I was just sitting here taking some notes here, and if you turn on the news and watch what's going on, you know, in our country or in our state or in our city, it really plays itself out in our schools. And so like our students are under a lot of pressure around what's going on in our world, in our cities, in our communities. I was inspired to hear those young people come and talk about the environment and basically, you know, demand that we do something and saying that that is something that will attract people to our district and that's something that young people and parents want. But unfortunately, like our environment is not a priority. And so that's something that our students hopefully are going to fight for. And as the next generation takes over, that they will continue to fight for the environment. I was inspired by listening to the ESL students, our recent immigrants, but I couldn't help to worry about their safety, each and every one of them, about the profiling, which is basically any one of those people who were here tonight could be picked up and could have no rights, no due process, nothing, and just be gone. And so when the gentleman mentioned his wife and his kids, I was just thinking about that and thinking about what our kids go through, because he said he had students that went to our school, and so that's discerning. We did a resolution on human trafficking. We've had students in this district who've been trafficked. Unfortunately, if you Google child trafficking, it'll come up on national news, and that shouldn't happen. But that's another topic. When it comes to special education, I spoke before and said, you know, that unfortunately, a lot of our students who learn differently and have unique needs are looked at with a, you know, with a deficit mindset, and then to have like the funding and protection and all that up in the air. So we don't know what's going to happen. That ought to be the priority. And it's sick that it's not. So, so anyway, that's just, you know, that's my rant. I'm going to move on to other stuff. So each and every day in the Mount Diablo Unified School District, we really do put students at our forefront. And as we go into the holidays, there is a lot of families that are out there that are in need and are going through different things. I want to highlight what we do around SOAR. You know, within our SOAR program, they're there for obviously our unhoused families and things like that, but their doors are open to everybody. And as I was talking with Dr. Reed today, she was mentioning that she rented a U-Haul to go pick up bikes for our students. And then because she came with this U-Haul and because she took such good care of it, they actually said, if you come back, we'll fill the U-Haul up again. So 2 U-Hauls full of bikes. We got an email from Big O Tires that they had collected hundreds of jackets for a community organization, and that community organization didn't show up. And we connected them with Dr. Reed and her team, and she went and got those jackets. Now she has hundreds of jackets that she's given out, especially in this weather. And you know, and so that's just just a sliver of the work that we do. And then just to know, like, we have people who have this deficit mindset towards the work that we're doing. So myself, I was not inspired by the governor's presentations. All the potential governors up there just spoke about how bad education was and how they're going to do this and that, not having a clue, any of them. And Tony Thurman, I respect him, but at least he's been a board member. But to have people not have a clue about the work that goes on or how you're going to educate 29,000 students, let alone the millions of students in the state of California. So I was actually kind of taken aback and depressed after leaving that government forum. And I didn't even attend the state superintendent forum because none of those people have educational backgrounds. There is one guy who was a board member, so he at least knows something, but just very disappointed in that. Very proud of the work that we do here. We have a lot of people who just have really negative things to say about our district, or who just sit in their basements and send emails and send complaints and things like that. And I don't understand it, because each and every day I am so inspired by what I see, by seeing the work that our students are doing, work that our teachers are doing, work that our cafeteria folks are doing, custodians, everyone. We're all coming together to support this community, and that is inspiring. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what you are looking at. But if you would have taken time to read our Friday to read our Friday newsletter, you would have read about folks in our business office being recognized in the region for the great work that they're doing. You would have recognized the work that is going on in our elementary schools around art. You would have seen the excellence of athletes that we have, girls and boys cross country teams setting school records at state meets. You would have heard of high school students and their counselors doing what they can to help students who are in need. You would have seen about a College Park student, who's performing in a vocalist in the movie Wicked. It goes on and on. I could go on about the work that Kelly Perkins has done around fentanyl in our communities, and she was highlighted. And again, also our adult education, the open house that they just had with the craft sales. And then the empathetic part with the Walnut Acres teacher, Heather Garcia Roy, in her battle with cancer. So how can you read all this and see all this and then just not be inspired and not be excited about the work happening? So as we close out 2025, which everyone could say it's been a difficult year, but you know what, every year is difficult. It's what you make of it. And what I do as the superintendent of this district, I keep my focus on the students. Unfortunately, it's adults that I have to deal with lots of times. But if I could just hang out with students, I was so inspired. Trustee Allen came to a presentation that I was doing at CSBA, and he brought his colleagues, these other young board members, and just watching them and watching how attentive they were and what they were listening to, and then seeing them carry themselves around adults, board members. And here you have these students who are, out learning about governance and learning about how they can make their communities better. And I knew this was going to happen. After Alan went to that meeting, he wants more meetings with me. He wants this, that. He's always learned all this stuff. I told him, I said, don't listen to what those other people are telling you. But that's where I get my motivation from. So as we go into this holiday season, just super inspired by the work. Looking at our dashboard again, hey, we say we care about students. We say we're here for students and stuff like that. And here we are sharing the data of how our students are doing. And I would expect a packed house. I would expect people are asking questions. I would expect people are making comments. People want to know more. People want to know how they can get involved, how they can help. But we got to start somewhere. And I'm motivated. I'm not discouraged by that, and we're going to keep on going forward. So just like Trustee Nzewi said, I want to wish everyone a happy and joyful holiday season. I want everyone to be safe. I want everyone to return because we still have lots of work to do. We have half the year still in front of us. And so with that, I conclude my report, and I'm open to questions, any board members.
All righty. Takes us to our consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wants to pull from the consent agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion. After we get, wait a minute. Okay. Linda Ortega.
Good evening again. First of all, I want to thank you, trustees, and Dr. Clark, and the voice out there. And just for your acknowledging the work our teachers, our educators are doing every day. And I wish they were here, but however, they are probably home preparing their lesson plans, grading papers, and there's that long stretch before school is out. So I know they would want to be here, but they are also doing the work to do to prepare themselves for their classes for tomorrow. So the item that I had pulled is 15.6, and I do my due diligence and read through the agenda, and I would like to address this item because I'm confused as why this one position again requires almost an $8,000 increase even after receiving a 2.3% salary increase that all employees receive from our Medea settlement. It seems that there is a double standard when it comes to getting salary increases in this district. Medea members have to go through months and months of negotiations to receive increases, but district administrators continue to receive increases when their job descriptions are updated. I just want to remind the trustees that when looking at the budget, please remember who is working directly with our students and who are far removed from them. Thank you.
Thank you. So, if board member.
I would like to pull items 15.6 and 15.23. I'm not pulling 15.27, but I just wanted to make a special note of the fact that I really appreciate that we are investing in both the baseball fields, but also the softball fields, because I think many of our female athletes have felt that not adequately represented. I just want to acknowledge that I really appreciate that we're investing in both softball and baseball fields. But I'd like to pull 15.6 and 15.23.
Entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move the consent agenda be approved as presented with the exception of 15.6 and 15.23, which will be considered separately.
Thank you. Trustee Barrera Oriella,
Oh, I'll second, and I'll say yes.
did you have one? No. Okay. Trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
Trustee Mason votes yes.
Okay.
It's working on it.
Okay.
Was the second correct?
Oh, it's Kaisha still with, okay. Oh, good. Okay, so 15.6, I guess, becomes 17.1.
Madam President, I'd
Yep.
move the board approve 17.1, but would like to have discussion.
Okay.
So you made the motion
I made the motion.
to approve it.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. And so it was raised by a member of the community, so I wanted to give the superintendent and staff just an opportunity to address the concern that was expressed. On 15.
Well, she is the union president. I don't see that as the member of the community, the Mount Diablo community, but she's an employee. So yes. So so I'm going to call Ryan Sheehy up to address this new job description. And we did just negotiate for a whole year with Medea, and I'd like to move on from that. So I'm not going to get back into negotiations. You bring 277 items to negotiate. If we would have just talked salary and benefits, we probably could have got moving further and got your members' money a lot earlier than waiting a whole year.
So this job description is to take an employee who was misclassified previously as a small necessary high school administrator who is now running our attendance and SARB programs, which are huge revenue sources for the district. And so this job description aligns with that work.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Trustee Barrera Ariana,
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
Trustee Mason's yes. Oh, sorry. Okay, and then that takes us to 17.2, which would be review and potential approval of independent contract agreement, ICA with Team CVX, et cetera.
Yep. Well, so I'll move.
What? Was that the one you pulled? No, Christie Google needs to. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Did you get, we're good, right? Okay, thank you, sir. Go ahead. Trustee Lawrence.
Yes, and so I would move for approval item 16.2.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. All right.
Okay. And I just wanted to pull it briefly and state, I think as I visit sites across the district, I'm very proud of the work we've done with Measure C and Measure J. But I think that if you ask any employee, any student, anyone who visits our sites, I think that they see there's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of investment in the facilities. I think really excited about especially the three schools that received the refresh most recently. And so I'm eager to see what the feasibility is of a further investment in a bond measure. And so I just wanted to call that out.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Trustee Oriana?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
And Trustee McFruit?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay. Finally, business of action. 18.1, review and potential approval of Mount Diablo Unified School District Sunshine's proposal for 2026-29 successors contract with Teamsters Local 856 and acceptance of the Teamsters Local 856 Sunshine proposal to Mount Diablo Unified School District.
We have Mr. Sheehy's.
You need to vote again. Thank you.
We have Mr. Sheehy who's going to present this next item.
Yes, so tonight what we have before you for the board's approval. Is it something I said? It's all right. I have that effect on people sometimes. So tonight we have for the board's review and potential approval, the and acceptance of the district sunshine proposals to Teamsters Local 856 and Teamsters Local 856 sunshine proposal to the district. We look forward to sitting down with our Teamsters to negotiate the 2026-2029 successor contract agreement.
Thank you. Okay. Questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move the Board of Education approve the Mount Diablo Unified School District Sunshine proposal for the 26-29 successor contract with Teamsters Local 856 and accept the Teamsters Local 856 Sunshine proposal to Mount Diablo School District.
Second. I'll defer.
Okay. Motion and second by McDougal, and no questions. We'll go ahead and take the vote. Trustee Oriana?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yeah.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Trustee Mason is a yes. 18.2, review and potential approval of Mount Diablo Unified School District's first interim report.
Yes, and we have our fiscal team that's going to present this next item. Again, I know they're going to explain this, but I just always like to tee this up. We set our budget in June, and then this is kind of the first check-in to see where we are. One of the very challenging things about a school district is that we have to have a balanced budget for 3 years, and those 3 years start from today going forward. So we'll come back in a few months with our second interim, and then we'll finish out with the budget again in June. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Vargas and his team.
All right, thank you, Dr. Clark. So with me tonight, I have Gustavo Aguilera, who's our Executive Director of Fiscal, as well as Brenda Barbera, who's our Director of Budget and Accounting and Fiscal Compliance. So moving off that, the only correction I would make is that we are in our multi-year, want to show that we can meet the reserve for economic uncertainty at 3%. So I get a little technical when you say balanced, because that's not what I'm going to show you tonight, is because we are deficit spending. But moving on, as Dr. Clark said, this is our first look after the budget was adopted at where we are, and this is the first of 2 reports, and that's why it's called the first interim. And that's as of October 31st. We look at the financials. We'll come back in March and we'll do the second interim, and that date is as of January 31st. And both those reports include projections through June 30th, and in this particular case, 2026. Again, this is a snapshot, and then we will include the multi-year projections for the next 2 fiscal years. This is based on the current School Services of California dartboard. One addition to that is that we do get information from School Services of California. So within the multi-year assumptions, we do have updated CalPERS rates, which are slightly different than what we had at the adopted budget. And again, this requires approval and certification from the board. So just as a reminder, there are 3 certifications. The first one is a positive certification, so the district can meet its financial obligations for the current year and 2 subsequent years. A qualified certification is that the district may not, so I stress may not, meet financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. And then the last certification is the negative certification, which is a district will not meet financial obligations in the current year or 2 subsequent years, or any of the years in the 2 subsequent years. So if you are in a negative certification, that usually means you're showing a negative fund balance, or that you cannot meet the reserve in the 3rd year out of a multi-year projection. And so for Mount Diablo, based off our ADA, we are at 3%. So with that, it's a little different tonight. So Brenda will be presenting probably a little bit more information than she has previously, and Gustavo will be going through the multi-year assumptions, which is, I think in our discussions was a little bit different for him. And then I will come back to wrap it up. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brenda.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Adrian. First thing to note and talk about are the changes from the adopted budget to the first interim. So adopted budget, again, as mentioned, what's happened in June, and these are financials through October 31st. One important thing to note is the restricted revenue increases, mainly due to the LCFF, as well as the inclusion of carryover. So once we adopt the budget in September, we begin on closing the books in terms of what was the true carryover after unaudited actuals, as well as the representation of what were the fund balances for each program. And this is carryover such as Title I funding, UPK, CSI. Another thing that's important to note is that the overall budget increases in salary and benefits of about 7.1 million are due to mainly negotiated salary increases, as well as increases in some of the benefits. So one bullet that I think is important to note is the unrestricted supplies, contracted services, and operating expenditures that did decrease by about 3.3 million due to the realignment of services, given the increases that we've had in salaries and benefits. So we have a realignment of services due to that shift in budget. And then contracted services is one area that people always wonder, well, what is in there, right? So it's, again, insurance, sub-agreement for services, rentals, leases, repairs, communication, garbage, water, all the things that make us ensure that we are providing what we need for the facilities as well as the students, and to make sure we're providing services for their needs. The overall expenditures for the budget increased by about 27.3 million. Mainly carryover fund balances come back, and that's something that we get captured as we close the books. So that happens in about October. Considerations moving forward. As you see this increase of 27.3 million, we will be looking at the needs, right? What are the immediate needs? And the budgets will be adjusted based on those needs and right sizing what the budgets look like in terms of services being provided to students. Next slide is in reference to revenues, and this is just the overall both combination of unrestricted and restricted. The unrestricted revenue is mainly for the state piece. The 3% is comprised mainly of lottery as well as mandated cost reimbursement. The LCFF is our largest pot of money, and this is ADA generated, as well as parts are property taxes. In terms of restricted, we have the local stay-in revenue as well, with the biggest being state, which is our SPED programs, ELOP, ACES, our CTE programs, our learning recovery programs. And then federal is the Title I funding, with a small piece of SPED, IDEA, mental health programs. And then local, the 13% is comprised of athletics, donations, reimbursements from outside agencies. For the next piece, still, we're talking about the expenditure pieces. So this slide and the following slide are going to touch on the overall expenditure amounts, both the amount and percentage for each expenditure area. So for first interim, one thing to know is the bottom line total combined is 542.3 million. And at adopted budget, we had 515. That is an increase of about 5.3%. And those are, again, in consideration of raises as well as some service increases. And here's that second slide that is specific to particular percentages within the areas and how much each is comprised of. One thing to always make sure we make a note of is that increase or what we're at with salary and benefits. And our staffing cost is at about 93% for our unrestricted expenditure budget. Contributions, the fluctuation in the variance between adopted and first interim, we had a reduction of about 564,000, and this is projected decreases as we again realign programs in consideration of the ongoing increases in salary and benefits, while still making sure we're maintaining our contribution obligation limits for like routine maintenance, which is 3% of the expenditure budget. So here is the high-level view of our components of ending fund balance. That is that bottom piece of the puzzle that tells us, okay, what's left over, what are our assignments, what are our commitments as a district. So we are showing our deficit spending, which is something that we've been talking about as a district that we are working on, as well as a little bit more specific. So the first graph to the left is just an overall high level view. And then to the left, you see specifics in terms of what our restricted categorical balances are, what those are that pretty much have rules, regulations very specific to the types of services we can spend on and the types of expenditures that we are allowed to do based on state and federal guidelines. And then the assignments are those projected deficit spending plans that we have in place, as well as that negotiated salary and benefit projections that we have for the out years. And as Adrian had mentioned, we have that 3% economic and reserve for economic uncertainty reservation that we must meet as a district. And to summarize, after speaking just on the general fund, this slide speaks to all of the other funds that we have outside of our general fund. And it shows that we have a positive ending fund balance in each of those program and funds. So with that, I'll make we go to Gustavo's slides where he'll talk more about multi-years.
Thank you, Brenda. So this slide summarizes AB 2756, which increases fiscal oversight in school districts. First, it increased fiscal transparency as districts must submit multi-year projections and disclose deficit spending, reserves, and cash flow components. Second, it expands the authority of the County Office of Education. County offices can review and reject budgets and step in when districts show signs of distress. Third, it strengthens interim reporting. The state is currently using first and second interim as their warning system with red flag indicators tied to multi-year solvency. And finally, the districts that become at risk, AB 2756 allows stronger interventions such as fiscal recovery plans, assigned advisors, and restrictions from the County Office of Ed or California Department of Education. Multi-year projections are reasoned estimates of revenue, expenditures, and ending fund balances over the 3-year window. They are not guaranteed. They are the best available forecasts given today with today's information. And because of funding, enrollment, staffing, or cost changes, NYPs must be updated at every reporting period. Even though projections can't be perfect, they are essentials for identifying risk early before budget crisis. Now I'll walk through the key revenue assumptions for that drive our multi-year outlook in 26-27 and 27-28. For enrollment in ADA, we are projecting flat enrollment at 29,378 students and a 93% ADA for the next 2 years. That's slightly lower than the adopted the number we use at adoption at about 118 ADA less. For LCFF revenue, we are assuming COLA increases of about 3.02% and 3.42% in the 2 out years, plus a higher UPP at 55.9%. And again, those numbers will change once we get information at the governor's budget in January. That increase to the LCFF revenue is by 14.4 million in 26-27 and 12.6 million in 27-28, which includes TK add-on and enrollment adjustments. For federal, state, and local sources, we are projecting them to remain relatively flat after one-time revenue falls off. We're also assume lower interest rate earnings, which hits unrestricted revenue in 26-27. For the special education contribution, we are budgeting on an ongoing contribution of 3.3 million in 26-27 and 3.1 million in 27-28, which is due to salary, benefits, and services. This slide is the expenditure assumptions for the out years. Salary adjustments include a 1.56% step and column increase for certificated and classified staff. On the unrestricted side, we've included a 20 FTE reduction to align to contract class ratios for base staffing. You'll see the ongoing salary increases beyond the stepping column. They're not built in the expenditure line. Instead, those are set aside in the components of ending fund balance. Restricted certificated salaries rise due to the special education staffing growth, but the increase is offset as one-time funds expire. For benefits, STRS is steady at 19.1%. PERS are projected at 26.4% in 26-27 and 26.9% in 27-28. Overall benefits costs rise by 1.9 million in 26-27 and 4.3 in 27-28. And that's driven mostly by medical rates growing, though some of that that will offset when one-time funds, restricted expenses fall off in 26-27. For books and supplies, unrestricted costs drop in 26-27 because LCAP carryover and one-time funds roll off about 1.42 million. That decrease is offset by 1.1 million in costs as some restricted grants expire and shipped off. Restricted books and supplies declined by 9.3 million because major one-time spending ends in 26-27. Contracted services and operating expenditures, unrestricted costs rise by about 1.5 million in 26-27. That increase is mainly from removing one-time LCAP expenses, then adding it back. Expected insurance and liability assessments at 1.25 million and another 1.1 million tied to expiring restricted grants. Restricted contracted services are expected to decrease significantly with the removal of about 21.9 million in one-time costs in 26-27 and a smaller reduction in 27-28. Some of that savings is offset by the increase in special education program needs. And now I'll turn it over to Adrian for the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Gustavo. So you just received a lot of detailed information, and we got a lot of budgets moving up and down. So I'm glad that I can come in and just show you the bigger picture. But ultimately, what you heard is, and I'll try to summarize this before I go through the multi-year and talk about, the deficit spending and how we're spending down fund balance. But really the challenge for first interim was managing the ongoing salary increase that was retro to July 1st of the 2.3%. And really what we're doing with our multi-year is we're utilizing one-time funds to cover expenditures within books and supplies or supplies and materials and contracted services. Also, things to think about is that we, even at adopted budget, I talked about LCFF or LCAP supplemental dollars. We have a large carryover of LCAP supplemental dollars. It's just built up over time because we have not spent the allocation that we've been allotted during prior fiscal years. So those carryover funds do go away. This year, or at least at this point at first interim, right now, that number is about 1.6 million that will drop out of the unrestricted budget. So that can take many forms. You know, when we talk about layoffs or reduction in notices, or that could be just because one-time funds are going away or donations are going away. So there may be an impact that you may see as we go through the budget development cycle. And we started that work, you know, about a month ago, and now we get heavy into the budget development prep now, and then we meet with school sites in the middle of January, and we start going through the updated allocations. By that time, we will know the January governor's proposal. We'll know about what exactly is it? Is it 2.54 like I heard at the CBO symposium, or is it 2.5? Did not hear 3.77 in the out year, but we will get that information. And as we know, our agreement with Medea in the out years was the funded COLA minus, and this number has gone back and forth, 0.66 or 0.67, but ultimately it's 2/3% less of the funded COLA. So that is why the projected out year cost of salary and benefits is sitting in the components of ending fund balance. At this point, like, I know what the impact could be, but if it's a 2.5 or a 2.54, that number is going to change at second interim. So we will go back and recalculate that based off what the COLAs we receive in January, and then I will adjust that in the components of ending fund balance. So I just want to point that out because it is not flowing in what I say the top part of the multi-year. Again, if I had to summarize our first interim, it is about utilizing our one-time funds. And you do see the large carryover, you know, Brenda talked about it. Our expenditures increased by $27 million. Most of that was restricted funds or restricted carryover funds. We do that, one, because we are getting better at budgeting and we still have to build capacity in our department, as well as do the education with our school sites. But as you go through budget development, they're used to, they want to see, like, they are, you know, and I would be too at a site, I want to know what my donations are. Like, they want to see all that stuff. So we load all of those things, and that's a common practice, but you have to build capacity to do that communication. So my guess is that second interim, just like last year, we will go through what is needed and we will make the adjustments accordingly so we can tie it out as best we can to unaudited actuals or estimated actuals. So we will do that work. And as I said in September, when I showed the graph, when it went from adopted budget, and it was pointed out that I didn't include first interim, and there's a reason why I didn't, because, and I could explain it, it's because we load carryover at first interim, and then we readjust at second interim. And then you saw that go through the series. And so we will do that again. And I guarantee you the variance will be large at second interim, just because we've loaded all that carryover for sites to see what they have available. And then we do try to, you know, make that spending plan through June 30th. But again, it helps you during the budget development process to know what you might have if you want to do something in 26, 27. So I front load you with all that, just because, again, this is the first snapshot. And with the first snapshot, this, if you can see it, you probably could see it better on your screen, but this outlines our multi-year projections. We are deficit spending $56 million in totality, but almost 33 million of that is restricted. So when you look at the unrestricted, it is roughly 23.5 million. I believe we were around 21 million at the adopted budget. Some of that is related to one-time expenditures that were added to the budget, but a lot of that is related to the 2.3 being added, but also just taking vacancy savings from positions that we didn't fill since June, or since the start of school in August. Moving on, you can see that the unrestricted projected deficit is 19 million. But again, this does not include the agreement that we made in terms of ongoing salaries that will hit July 1st, 2026. So that number will go up. It just depends on what the funded COLA is. Of course, that's going to have an impact on revenue. So I don't know what that looks like, especially knowing that we are hearing 2.5 something. And then we do still are spending down our one-time block grants in the restricted side of the budget. Most notable is the new block grant, because I think it's called the Professional Development and Support Block Grant, but you can use that for discretionary use, which that's what we are doing here at Mount Diablo. So we are spending that roughly about $3 million every year. So that is part of that 6.7 million, as well as the Learning Recovery Block Grant that we are spending down, and then just any other carryover in some of the restricted programs. Then moving on to the third year, it's roughly $19 million deficit. Again, this does not include the ongoing salary that will hit July 1st, 2026. And just remember that that is a 2-year hit. So that only it hits in that second year, and then it's an ongoing expense. So it's going to hit in the third year. And then we have one extra year that will hit July 1st, 2027. So again, those 2 years are dependent on the funded COLA. And as of this moment, it's roughly $23 million is the hit in the next 2 years. And really, again, I'm pointing out that it accounts for 2 years worth of expenditures hit July 1st, 2026, and then 1 year hitting July 1st, 2027. And then again, in the third year out, we're just spending down mostly that one-time block grant that we received in this current year, 25-26. And then moving on to the next slide is just the high-level summary showing the combined budget. So that's unrestricted, restricted. I talked about the 56 million in the current year. Next year, it's combined at 25.8 and then 19.3 in the third year out. And then those are the projected fund balances. And again, part of the assignments are the projected deficits, but also just accounting for the ongoing salaries. And we do have some small assignments that are really related to the ERP conversion, which is about 1.45 million. And so as we work through that process, a lot of that is just more of the implementation cost that will be associated when we move to the new software system. And then just, things to think about, they haven't changed since the adopted budget. President Mason talked about it. So the federal policy changes, and I would agree in terms of what was, just hold still until something happens. And so we will move forward as best we can, because if there are things that impact the title programs, it's not going to be a Mount Diablo problem. It's going to be a school district problem. It's going to be throughout California. And at this moment, we don't have any information on what that looks like. And then, once we do get information, then we will pivot off that. I feel in terms of looking at the multi-year that we have this year, we will make it through this year, and more than likely we will make it through next year, even with any federal policy changes. We just may need to spend our one-time money 1 year sooner. Like that may happen. And again, you just don't know what the state is doing. You talked about the state receipts. I'm following those emails too, in terms of their exceeding projections. So there's a lot that goes on. And so as Gustavo pointed out, the multi-year is not a crystal ball, and it's based off the information we have right at this moment. The other thing to think about, which I talked about, was expiring and spending down of one-time funds, i.e. deficit spending. We're still dealing with health benefit increases. We do have roughly about a 15% increase built into the multi-year, which equates to about a little over 3 million in each of the next 2 years. And then the other piece is the enrollment and student absent rates. I would love to be funded off enrollment too, but we are currently funded off ADA, which means the amount of days that students actually come to school. So with all that said, we are submitting we will submit to the Contra Costa County Office of Ed a first interim certification of positive, and that is all based that we can meet our 3% reserve in the third year out. And in terms of cash flow, we have a positive cash flow for the required 1 year that we are to submit. You know, we do monitor that, especially with what has happened at the federal level in terms of this grant's going away, goes to court, then it comes back, this grant's coming back. Ultimately, all that give and take, yeah, we may get the budget, but it's all about cash. And so if you are in the midst of receivership, that problem is all about cash. Can you pay your bills? Can you pay payroll? And can you pay your vendors? And so we are monitoring that. We have positive cash flow, but as we spend down our fund balances, that cash flow will diminish. And so just, you know, the scrutiny on that just gets more and more and more. So moving on, here's the budget calendar timeline. I kind of talked about this at the unaudited actuals presentation, and even at the budget update that we did in October. We're doing the first interim report. There may be an audit delay just because of the federal shutdown. There was a circular that the auditors have to abide by, and so that needs to be approved. We did do an audit extension request with Contra Costa. They have turned that into the state controller's office, and there was an updated one just sent today, so we should know something. So the audit report may be presented in February, but if we don't get it approved, we are on track to turn that in on Monday, and we'll be looking at a January presentation. In January, we have the governor's proposal. Roughly about January 10th, we'll know what he's thinking about for 26-27. We get into the heart of budget development. We continue that work in February. Again, that's when I project that we will do the audit report. We'll come back in March with the second interim report, and then if needed, we will have, HR will be coming with the reduction in force notices. So with that, that concludes the presentation. One other note, just going back, that I just want to point out. So the one thing that is not showing on this 3-year multi-year is the 4th year. So I just remember this, but I want to just bring it up because more than likely I will show the 4th year and what it may look like at second interim, just like I did back in March of this year, as we get new information for the new for the 26-27. Just because of how we're spending and our deficit spending, and Trustee McDougall, you brought this up with the adopted budget, more than likely we will have some type of reduction that will be needed to meet the 3% requirement in a multi-year projection when we do the adopted budget in June of next year. So I just want to point that out now, just so it's out there. But that's what and again, these things change. I heard in the last month, not only the 2.5, the cash receipts are exceeding Governor Newsom's projections. And more than likely, you know, there are still 1.8, 1.9 billion of unallocated Prop 98 dollars. And if they come to fruition and the governor needs to true up, then most likely that's going to come in the form of one-time money. So I'll take any questions.
I would just a couple comments. You know, of the things that stood out is that obviously a $56 million deficit is not sustainable year over year. I think to continue to keep an eye on the rising cost of benefits and retirement and those continued costs. And then just the third thing that makes me wary is that the California state revenue is so dependent upon right now on tech, on income tax from that, and it's, NVIDIA, Google stock employees and things like that. And that is a very delicate thing. And if that goes away and has a contraction, then the entire state budget becomes a lot more perilous. And so I think that we just need to be mindful of these things. And so just appreciate the approach from fiscal services. So thank you.
I've got a question for you. I noticed in the budget for this year, all the deficit of 56 million came from the unrestricted funds shortage. There wasn't any in the unrestricted funds. Well,
So
if you go back to one of the first slides,
The
we had-
first slides?
well, it was on the left of the screen, and there. It showed that in the middle column of that small chart, that the deficit, the excess deficiency is 123 million, and it's in the unrestricted funds. Excuse me, it's in the restricted funds. It's not in the unrestricted funds. Is that something that we can expect in future years, that it comes out of, the deficit comes from the restricted funds rather than the unrestricted funds?
So so what you're looking at in terms of the $123 million deficit, so that's before contributions are made. So in terms of restricted, you're seeing the revenues and then the expenditures, and then
Right.
that's the net difference before the contributions, which is that piece right there. So when you flow in the contributions related to those three programs, then you get a deficit of 32.9 million.
32.9, okay.
Yeah. So to answer your question, you would normally see that because special ed revenue and expenditures sit on the restricted side of the budget. And
Okay.
the RRMA, or the routine repair maintenance account, as you can see, that makes up a good majority of the 90 million that we're contributing.
Okay, I see that. Okay. And I want to piggyback on what Brian had said as well. This deficit spending of 56 million still scares the pants off of me. Although I see it shrinking, I think in the next year it's 25.8 million, and the third year it's 19.2. But those are always subject to all the variations that you're talking about. But at least we're going in the right direction. And to see 56 million and 25 million and 19 million, it means we go from a fund balance of 168 million this year. There it is. Beginning fund balance 168 million. But by the end of 28 fiscal year, we're down to 67 million. So we're spending in deficit spending $101 million over the 3 years that we project.
So I wish I could agree with you on that. But the part, as I mentioned before, what is not in the second year, 26, 27, and not in the 27, 28 year is the ongoing salary commitment that we made with the recent agreement that we signed. So if we go off the numbers that you just shared, I would tell you that it's not 67 million. It's actually 67 million minus 24 million. So it is roughly about 43 million when those raises kick in, whatever that looks like.
You're looking at the 67 million is the third year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're not seeing is in the assignments, the 24.39 million, most of that is the salaries and benefits related to the ongoing salary increase that has not hit on July 1st, 2026 or July 1st, 2027. So it's not something I want to correct you on, but that's what
makes it worse.
Yeah.
Okay. But at least we're going in the right direction here, and hopefully we'll get to a point, maybe in that fourth year you're talking about, where we can drop it down to we spend as much as we take in.
Right.
And that's maybe wishful thinking.
I was gonna say, people that have been in education been waiting for that fourth year for a long time. Never seems to come.
Well, I'll have to say I have more confidence if this is now, I've been in this seat for a year, and it scared the pants off me the first time I looked at this, first interim from last March. But I have confidence and I lay it at your feet because you guys are very good at taking those one-time expenditures and moving them to the best possible use of it. And that's what I appreciate is the skills that you guys have in doing that. It's no easy task, and I compliment you on that.
Well, I would extend the compliment to our ed services people, our ed services staff, because we do that in coordination with them. I mean, the name that comes off my mind is Christina Filios, who does a lot of work on our title programs. And she does a lot of work with our LCAP supplemental. I mean,
there she is.
And she would, she's there, doing that work with the fiscal team. And I'm not trying to discount other pro ed services staff. It's just Christina seems to be in my office the most.
And we'll extend the thanks to all those
Yeah.
staff that you mentioned.
This is an action item, folks.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the first interim report 25-26 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Trustee Guerrera Oriano,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
Trustee Mason's a yes.
Yeah.
Trustee Zawi. How can she still be awake?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay.
There's stones being served tomorrow, Alex?
It'll be good.
Okay. 18.3, review and potential approval of Title I school-wide program for Concord High School.
Christina Filios.
Thank you. So based on 24-25 free and reduced meal percentage ranking, Concord High School is eligible for Title I school-wide program. And in order to enact a school-wide program of spending for Title I, one of the requirements is to create a school-wide plan, which is our school plan for student achievement. So tonight I'm bringing forward Concord High School's school plan for student achievement that has been developed and approved by their school site council for board approval as the school-wide plan for Title I for Concord High School.
Madam President, I move the board approve the Title I school-wide program for Concord High School.
I'll second.
Okay. You have a second? All right.
Can I ask a question before you? take the vote?
Absolutely.
So we get a bucket of Title I money, and because now that Concord High School is being designated, are the other schools going to lose out?
So we do determine ranking and funding each year based on most current CalPADS numbers. So yes, a school could shift in or out of funding each year. We actually did have a school in funding last year and then out of funding this year. And so we do look at those ranked percentages each year so that we can ensure that Title I funds are targeted to our most needy schools to support. The other piece is that the per pupil allotment for each school is determined by the total number of students we're serving in the district, plus any nonprofit private schools, students that are eligible. So the amount, that total pot, Dr. Clark, minus whatever our district title allocations are to fund just at district level, that's divided by the total number of students that we're serving. So the more students, the more schools that we fund, the more eligible students, the smaller that per pupil allotment gets. So we're always making a decision about what amount per pupil makes sense to be able to support the schools in making some significant supplemental actions or taking some significant supplemental actions to support students. You're welcome.
Any other questions before we move? Trustee Barrera Ariano?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McFrugal?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 18.4, review and potential approval of school plan for student achievement for Olympic High School and Riverview Middle School.
So the plan is to bring the other school plans for student achievement in January, but I am bringing Olympic High School and Riverview High School school plans for student achievement to this meeting. Both Riverview and Olympic currently qualify under comprehensive support and improvement. Olympic High School qualifies under grad rate, although I do want to highlight their incredible jump in grad rate, their increase to 72.5%. But in order to not qualify for comprehensive support and improvement, they will need to get to 68% 3-year average. So we're very close. I've calculated it. In comprehensive, and also, sorry, Riverview is qualifies under low performing, which is based on dashboard data from the year before. So for these two sites, one of the requirements under comprehensive support and improvement is, of course, to have a school plan that indicates how these monies will be spent toward improved student outcomes and improving the indicator that qualifies for CSI. And so I'm bringing these two plans forward for approval so that schools can enact these strategies with these monies.
Questions? Okay.
I move to approve the 25-26 Olympic High School school plan for student achievement and the 25-26 Riverview Middle School school plan for student achievement as presented. My screen blipped. I apologize.
Second?
Okay, we have motion and a second. Trustee Barrera Ariana?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi? Trustee
Yes.
And Trustee Mason's a yes.
Thank you.
All righty. 18.5, review and consideration of challenge to supplemental instructional materials pursuant to the Board Policy Administrative Registration Regulation 1312.2.
Good evening, trustees. Dr. Clark.
There's Susan Hartwig.
Hi.
going to lead us through
So tonight we have for review and consideration a challenge of supplemental instructional materials. And in this case, it's a book, The Four Agreements, which was approved back in April of 2024 as a supplemental 9th grade text representing multicultural and diverse authors. In September of 2025, a complaint sought its removal on constitutional grounds. We reviewed the claim and found the book met all policy and education code requirements. The decision was then appealed, and so we ask now that the board vote on whether the book should remain on the supplemental reading list. And I'm obviously here for questions as well.
Just,
We have a couple of public speakers,
Ma-
so I don't know if you want to ask questions.
I just, as a quick point of
Come back.
order, I just wanted to ask, not to cast aspersions on you in your first meeting, but it seemed possible we may need a meeting extension. And
Yes.
would you like to do that, just so we're not rushed? I didn't know if you would. Okay. So I would. I thought it was at 10. Is it now 10:30? My extension was going to be to 10:30. If we're already good till 10:30, then
That's fine.
okay. I'll hold off. I thought it was. I didn't think so, but
We'll make sure.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and hear from the public speakers, and then if there's any questions. Oh, they're not here?
I think you can call them just to make sure.
the second
Okay.
part for the next item.
Okay, so Linda Powell is not here. Okay, Laura. Okay, then if there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the 4 agreements remain on the supplemental reading materials list in category 3.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and then we will go with trustee Ariana,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi,
Yes.
trustee McDougal,
No.
and trustee Mason is a yes. Pat. Review and proposed changes to administrative regulation AR 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees. This is the one that we have. Mr. Ortega wants to speak.
Did everyone vote online?
No, Deborah.
Okay, well, good evening again. I would like to address this item 18.6 as it was brought up during our negotiations. There are sections in this new board policy that concerns me, and I would like for this item to be pulled so that Medea leadership can work with the district to come up with a better process, as this minimizes an employee's ability to receive written complaints. Employees need to respond to a written complaint and a verbal hearsay complaint. I ask respectfully for you to pull this item for further clarification. Thank you.
I just want to inform the board that this is up for a first read, so we're not taking any action tonight, so there's time to do.
Okay, it said action on here.
Listen to section.
If you prefer, we wait.
Yes, go ahead and wait, please.
Wait till the
Yes.
next. Okay, that's easy enough. All right. Review and potential approval of revisions to board policy VP 6146.1, high school graduation requirements. Is that an action one? Yes. Okay. I move the board adopt board policy 6146.1, high school graduation requirements as presented. Thank you.
I'll second.
Trustee Barrera Ariana,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi, trustee McDougal.
Yes.
Trustee Mason's a yes. That passes. Okay. Review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, September 24th quarterly update. That is for info. So come to the next meeting prepared with any changes you'd like to see. The next one is review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, December 2024 quarterly update. No questions there. And review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations for March 2025 quarterly update. That's it. Okay. No meeting extension needed.
I never doubted you for a moment.
But my husband's going to be disappointed in me. Okay, so closed session, no carryover, no reconvene. Future agenda items? Nope. Merry Christmas. See you next year.